crispy, perfectly golden brown. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today and see if they're better than
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
So high school football is officially underway. College football is officially 2 weeks in, and now the NFL season is officially upon us. Happy Monday. Welcome in. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Mr. Kev Nash, happy Monday.
What up, doe?
Happy Monday. And, of course, you know, congratulations on the victory, by the way.
Thank you. It was a lot of hard work. I really prepared for this win. We really had a great practice, and I was really rooting hard. Lost my voice a little bit during the overtime session, but we got it done as a team.
Well, let's just be clear. I mean, at the end of the day, right now, maybe everyone talks about practice. I think lack of practice, lack of preseason. You know, we hate the preseason. Preseason is going to be the theme of the struggles, not just for the Bengals, but for a lot of teams that we'll talk about on today's show. But we welcome you in again. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're live on, of course, the iHeartRadio app, so that's where you can also listen to the show. You can stream it at wingam.com. Let's see, Facebook, the Justin Kidder Show Facebook page. That's where you can watch the show live. Twitter at 1410 Kinner, KINNER, at 1Kev Nash. I mean, my goodness, there's no excuse why you can't find a spot to watch the show. ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. But let's go ahead and open things up. So much to dive into here after week one of the NFL season. Technically, it wraps up later tonight with the Seahawks going up against Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Yesterday, we kicked off the season, of course, with the Sunday morning tailgate show live at Frickers over in Miamisburg. And we always start the show at 11:30. We walk you right up to kickoff. And we were doing what we were doing pretty much all offseason, Kev, the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
The what ifs. The prognostications. What do we think things are going to look like? How do we think guys and teams are going to perform? Coaches, how are they going to fulfill their duties? And while we still have 16 weeks to go and a lot of games left to be played, but for some, one game in, you feel pretty good. One game in, you don't feel pretty good. And even some teams like your Steelers, they get a win and they don't feel good even about that because with the win came a big loss. And we'll talk about all of that. Lots to dive into. First of all, we are definitely going to get into this Bengals-Steelers game kind of to open up. But when you start looking around the National Football League and you start looking around the teams that were most impressive and some of the teams that were most concerning, Kev, I want to open up with just right off the bat, the teams that were most impressive right off the bat, because this will segue right into our Bengals and Browns conversation here in just a moment. The most impressive teams in week one, to me, the Kansas City Chiefs with their dominating win over the Cardinals. Patrick Mahomes, everyone was curious, was it Patrick Mahomes or Tyreek Hill? Was it a combination of both? I think it's safe to say both are very, very good at what they do. But the Kansas City Chiefs, it's more Patrick Mahomes than it is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill did his thing with the Dolphins yesterday. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense did not miss a beat against a very good defensive Cardinals team, and they dominated the Cardinals in impressive fashion. I thought the second most impressive team this weekend, Kev, was the Minnesota Vikings, a team that both of us had picked to win that division over in the NFC and to pick them to win it over, of course, the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. The Packers looked horrible. They looked miserable. Aaron Rodgers looked miserable, but I thought the Vikings looked like a very well-rounded football team. Great quarterback play, explosive weapons in the pass game, complemented by a dominant run game, great offensive line, and the defense has finally caught up with who they are as an offense. And then the most impressive team, other than Kansas City, other than, of course, the Vikings, I thought that the Buffalo Bills. In fact, I don't think anyone looked more impressive. As good as Kansas City looked yesterday, as good as Minnesota looked yesterday, no one has come close to looking as good as what Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills did in their Thursday night win over the defending Super Bowl champion Rams. The three most impressive teams, without a shadow of a doubt, Kansas City Chiefs, the Minnesota Vikings, and the most impressive team, and already an MVP favorite in Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills.
Absolutely. All those teams impressed, won big games, and had big performances from their star players. You talked about Patrick Mahomes and that offense. I mean, Mecole Hardman finally is looking like the guy that they wanted to replace Tyreek Hill when they initially drafted him. Yeah. Obviously, Juju got involved in the mix, and Travis Kelce obviously is balling out. But that defense was able to hold down the Cardinals and Kyler Murray in that offense. to only 21 points. I was expecting a shootout. I was saying like 45-44. Kansas City held up their end of the bargain. The Cardinals did not.
No, they did not. And with all the talk about the defense, or with the contract for Kyler Murray, I think that's already a situation and we'll talk about the Cardinals coming up here more so in just a moment as far as our teams that were unimpressive. But so those three teams you agree with?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go on the other side a little bit. I'm gonna go like more segment group and players. I will go with the kicker for the Cleveland Browns. Your Cleveland Browns, K. York. He hit a 58-yard field goal to win the game in his very first game as a professional. That's the way you want to do it. And you want to look at the kickers that are in the AFC North. You're going to need a good kicker in the AFC North because you already got Tucker at Baltimore, which is the best kicker in the league. You got Boz, who's a good kicker, and you got the kicker from Cincinnati, who's a good kicker. I know he missed some kicks yesterday, no fault of his own, the snapper situation and all that type of stuff, and Minkah Fitzpatrick making plays. But this division, you're going to have to make some big-time kicks, and K. York threw his name into the ring by hitting a 58-yarder on the road to win it.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when your quarterback doesn't turn it over 5 times and your kicker can actually make kicks. It's amazing what happens, when those coupled. What'd I say?
Wow, we can't even get through the first segment.
What did I say? I
can't even get through the first segment.
What? I don't understand. But yeah, absolutely. On the flip side,
I got one more. I got one more. Things that impressed me. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense: 7 sacks, 4 interceptions, forced fumble. And the leader of that defense is obviously TJ Watt. He potentially has a torn pec, so he'll probably be out for the rest of the season. But that entire defense made impact plays. And one thing about Minkah Fitzpatrick, a lot of talk about his contract. Is he worth the contract? He showed yesterday why he was worth every single penny. Pick 6 to open up the game. He had 14 tackles. And, the signing of a Miles Jack and the development of a Devin Bush allowed him to go back to the free safety role. Last year, he was playing a lot of box safety, so that prevented him from making plays all over the field. When he first got to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was allowed to play that free safety, had 3 pick sixes when he showed up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since then, the linebacking core, namely middle linebackers, has been suspect, and their run defense hasn't been good. Steelers' run defense was outstanding yesterday, which allowed Minkah Fitzpatrick to do what he does, just to roam the field and make plays. No, he's not Troy Polamalu, but he's playing that Troy Polamalu role, being a free safety, making plays all over the field. A pick 6 to start things off, and then to force the overtime, blocking the extra point. Minkah Fitzpatrick and that Pittsburgh Steelers defense was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that Pittsburgh Steelers defense coming up as far as what to expect now with the absence of J.J. Watt, without a true indicator yet that I've come across. I haven't seen any update as far as a timetable. They fear the worst, though. If it's a torn pec the way they anticipate, he done for the 2022 season. But he may have done just enough to be able to kind of give themselves a game head start over the favorites to win the division, the Cincinnati Bengals, that's for sure. Flipping over to the most disappointing in week 1, the most concerning in week 1. I think it's all about expectations as well. There are teams that we were questioning what they were going to look like with missing pieces or even the addition of pieces, and then whether teams lived up to those expectations or not. But I thought that the Arizona Cardinals, Kev, you finally signed Kyler Murray. You put all that behind you. There was the big mess with the homework clause in his contract, but they got that taken care of. Now it was just about going out and executing. Look, Kyler Murray was an MVP favorite at about 9 games into the season last year before the epic collapse, the same way the Cardinals had that epic collapse in 2020 as well. But the Cardinals usually are one of the safer teams to pick in the first couple months of the season. And then for them to come out as flat as they did against a very good Kansas City Chiefs team, don't get me wrong. But, if you are the Cardinals and you're trying to convince people that we're not just one of the powerhouses of the NFC, but we're a Super Bowl contender, you proved yesterday. Maybe it's an overreaction after week 1, possibly, but they didn't look like a Super Bowl contender yesterday. And you can't say it's only week 1 when people say that they don't look like a Super Bowl contender. As of right now, they don't look like a Super Bowl contender, because if teams can look dominant in week 1 without all the excuses of the teams that don't look dominant, that means it's proof it can be done. I get tired of hearing, we need to let guys gel. We need this, we need that. No, maybe your team does, but the teams that don't are doing really, really well right now, and that's fine. Stop with the excuses. To me, the Cardinals, that was a very concerning performance in that 44-21 loss yesterday. Kyler Murray, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over, but there was never any where you never felt like he was about to take control of that game. Patrick Mahomes, you could just tell that first drive, he was like, all right, Tyreek Hill, deuces, adios, enjoy your time in Miami. This is my team, and this is my time to remind everybody that we were the Bengals kicker away from getting back to our third straight Super Bowl last year. Chiefs, they're still very, very good. The second most concerning team in week one to me coming out is the Green Bay Packers. I thought that that's a team that I still think that we were given the benefit of the doubt to Aaron Rodgers because, it doesn't matter who you throw out there with Aaron Rodgers. The Packers and Aaron Rodgers will shine. Kev, I mean, you look at Devontae Adams. Him not being on that field, he would help big time, but the gap between him and even the second best wide receiver, him and the best wide receiver on the current Packers roster is so large that it's not even worth mocking at this point. Devontae Adams yesterday, Kev, did you know he had more total yards receiving than the entire, wide receiving core for the Green Bay Packers yesterday? That is alarming. That's not all on Aaron Rodgers. I completely get that. I'm not necessarily blaming him, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do. You can't put the best quarterback on the worst receiving roster and expect anything to happen, and that was proof of it yesterday. The reason I have the Packers being the most concerning, Aaron Rodgers has been so dominant for so long, 2 straight MVPs. The Packers have been great, but for him to come out and still not be able to make anything work with this group is kind of concerning, especially against a team that is the biggest threat to him and the Packers winning that division.
Right.
And it may not be that may be the case, and they may not win that division. I think the Vikings are still going to go on and win it when it's all said and done. And my most concerning team of the weekend, not because I'm a hater, look, that was the best game of the weekend. And I don't know if it was the most well-played game of the weekend. It was an ugly game. But the Cincinnati Bengals, Kev, they're the most concerning team coming out of week one. Because the Packers, every concern you had about the Packers heading into week one, it came to fruition. It came to life, right? Like he doesn't have a Jamar Chase. He doesn't have a Devontae Adams. He doesn't have a T. Higgins or even a Tyler Boyd level type wide receiver in that unit. You know what I mean, Kev? Like Aaron Rodgers didn't have anything. So we kind of knew that, man, it can go really, really bad. But we were tuning in hoping to see Aaron Rodgers work magic, right? And really prove that he is that special. And he is special. This doesn't change that. But again, we were expecting more. But the Bengals, they have everything, Kev. They have everything. You have, I know T went out hurt early on, but that didn't stop Joe from throwing a pick six to start the game. Jamar Chase did his thing yesterday, obviously. Tyler Boyd, everyone's there. All right, you had Mixon. You had the new and improved offensive line, because Bengals fans, what you forget is just because you add names to your offensive line doesn't mean you actually added talent to your offensive line. They need to gel. They'll gel. They'll be fine eventually. But the Cincinnati Bengals, Kev, that was a bad performance from top to bottom. It wasn't just this guy having a bad day or this guy having a bad day. From the top down, Zach Taylor, that was one of the most embarrassing coaching performances I've ever seen in my life. And I've been a Browns and Cowboys fan for quite some time. And I've seen some embarrassing coaching performances. How you don't even try to challenge the Jamar Chase touchdown late in that fourth quarter, which, by the way, there would be no overtime. There would be no, it would have been a straight up victory. We wouldn't even be talking about concerning teams at all when it comes to the Bengals. There's that. Then the punt late in overtime. They punt with 11, 12 seconds left on the play clock while the clock was running. You want to eat as much time off of that as possible, and your Steelers needed every second possible to come back and beat the Bengals in overtime. So to me, it's just that the coaching was horrible. We talked on Friday. You guys got so mad at me. Is Joe Burrow elite? I said not yet. Kev said not yet. He's showing signs of it, but he's not at Josh Allen's level yet. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not at that level yet, but he has shown signs of it. You guys got mad at me. You guys got mad at Kev. One guy said they need 2 new guys on this show that actually are fans of the hometown team, because the last time I checked, I guess they're not the Cincinnati Bengals or the Dayton Bengals. I have no clue who made up that rule, but I suggest you stop drinking while making up these rules, because that's not a rule. That's not a thing. It doesn't exist. Get over yourself. Bottom line is, we just said he's not there yet, and he proved that we were right, Kev, because you know what? Josh Allen, he wasn't throwing 4 interceptions. He wasn't fumbling the ball. All right, guys, throw picks. That's fine. Throw picks while trying to make plays, but he was and then you throw the ball 53 times, and you threw the ball 53 times, all probably in the red zone, all at the end of that fourth quarter. My God, how many penalties needed to go against the Steelers, and how many pass attempts into the end zone did you need to win that football game? Elite quarterbacks find a way to win that football game, and Joe Burrow was not elite yesterday. The Bengals were not elite yesterday, but I'll end it with this. The positive spin, if you will, for the soft fans who are upset with me right now. Joe Burrow played the worst game of his career. Zach Taylor coached the worst game of his career. The offensive line was just straight up garbage, but that's typical. The defense, did their thing. All right. But at the end, they still let Mitch Trubisky come down the field and put them in field goal range. I will say that in overtime. All of those things happened, Kev, and they still had a bajillion chances to win. So that means even on the Bengals' worst day, they're still in position to win football games. The Bengals will be fine, but they're the most concerning because we heard so much talk about this team not being the one that would fall to that sophomore slump, if you will. Not really a sophomore slump, but that hangover from the Super Bowl, if you will. Hangover. It's real. It exists. And it was on full display yesterday, Kev. That didn't look like a team that was in a Super Bowl just about 4 or 5 months ago. That looked like a team that was not mentally prepared, physically prepared. The preseason thing, Kev, these guys got to start playing in preseason. It's football, and if you play football to prevent your players from getting hurt, this is what happens. It wasn't just the Bengals. There was a lot of ugly football yesterday, but the Bengals are the most concerning come out of week one, not because I'm a hater, but it's because your coach made 2 stupid decisions. Your quarterback turned the ball over 5 freaking times, and your kicker, who, by the way, I'm actually a humongous fan of your kicker. I may not be as much now because my team has a kicker now, who I'm a big fan of, but I'm like, my favorite Bengals player is your kicker. It wasn't all his fault, but come on, it's a freaking extra point. And then it's a field goal in overtime to win it all. Money McPherson, I think his head's still at the halftime show.
So you don't think the snapper had anything to do with it?
Who cares? I was told my quarterback last year had one arm, and I wasn't allowed to use that as an excuse for why he played poor. But you want me to give the long snapper the benefit of the doubt?
I ain't say him. I said
long snapper
they didn't have their long snapper. It was a backup long snapper. And I am in the credit giving business. I'm going to give my Pittsburgh Steelers defense the credit for getting 7 sacks, for causing that fumble, and getting 4 interceptions, and definitely blocking that extra point. As for the concerning teams for me, or concerning players, one would be the Tennessee Titans. You're up 13-0 over the New York Football Giants. And then you ultimately lose that game 21-20. All while A.J. Brown is putting up 10 catches for 155 yards with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, that offense just got super stagnant in the second half, which allowed the New York Football Giants to come away with the victory with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley going absolutely crazy. So that's definitely concerning for me because, this is one of those wins that you desperately got to have because that AFC South is going to be tough to win because I think all those teams are pretty equal. So getting that win to starting off, and then you look at the AFC South right now, nobody has a win because you got the Colts and they tied, and then you got Tennessee lost, Jacksonville lost. So everybody has no wins. Nobody has a win. Everybody's in first place, I guess you can look at it like that. But the most concerning for me, and this is because he was my MVP going into the season, Derek Carr, 3 interceptions with the Raiders. You can look at Devontae Adams. He got his numbers, but it seemed like he was only focused on throwing it to Devontae Adams. I mean, you got Waller out there. You got Hunter Renfrow out there. You got a lot of other targets out there that you could spread the ball around to. But it just seemed like he was like, oh, man, I got Aaron Rodgers, #1 guy. Let me play like Aaron Rodgers and let me force feed Devontae Adams, which cost them 3 interceptions, and that ultimately cost them the game versus the Chargers. So Derek Carr, even though you're my MVP this season, you just had a terrible game one with 3 turnovers, and you cost your team the game.
Yeah, and, that was still a good game against Justin Herbert. The Chargers, someone said I should have included the Chargers in the most impressive of week 1. The Chargers looked good. Justin Herbert looked good. But, I don't think that, I didn't put the Chiefs as most impressive on my list because they won. I put them on the list because of how they won. They dominated in defense and offense.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals yesterday dominated on defense, but they were lacking everywhere else. And by the way, you get an incomplete with defense because you're going up against Mitch Trubisky. I don't know how well you played defensively yesterday. Trubisky is not a very good quarterback. He's not going to beat you, as you saw yesterday. But, man, you need miracles for him to lead you to wins. And it took everything. I mean, the Bengals did everything possible for your team to win yesterday. But to be fair, your team did everything it could to put them in position to win. But it was a bend, don't break. I thought both the Bengals and Steelers defense, kudos to both of them. They at least made that entertaining because the offenses were horrible. And let's be clear, of all the AFC North teams, I didn't think Lamar, who threw 3 touchdowns yesterday, threw for 213 yards. He didn't kill it on the ground either. He didn't have to. He did exactly what he needed to do for his team to win. There is not one quarterback. I mean, look, Joe has the highest ceiling of everybody in the AFC North right now. I still think he's going to be okay, but I've been saying it from the beginning. He's good. He's very good. But he's not Justin Herbert. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes. All right. He's not these guys, and that's okay. But he's still very good. He just wasn't very good yesterday. You've heard what we have to say. Now I'm curious what you guys have to say. 518-1410, 518-1410. A lot of feedback coming into the chat section on Facebook, on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. We always read your comments. We pull them into the show. But if you want to have your voice be heard as well, you can give us a call. 518-1410, 937-518-1410. Give us a call. Like I said, Bengals fans, you think I'm going to beat up on you? I'm not, but you can't. It's okay to be critical of your team. You could be critical. That was embarrassing yesterday on your offense. That was your 4 interceptions, 5 total turnovers from Joe Burrow. And last time I checked, I keep hearing all people today make these excuses. Oh, well, the long snapper's why they lost. The coaching's why they lost. Well, last I checked, Zach Taylor, he didn't throw 1 interception yesterday. The backup long snapper didn't throw 4 interceptions and fumble it yesterday. That was all on Joe Burrow. Had Joe Burrow thrown for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns and did his thing, and the long snapper caused them the game at the end, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me. I'd be like, that's unfortunate because we know Money McPherson is money. That is on the long snapper. However, this was on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, it's his responsibility to overcome shortcomings at backup, long snapper. Really? Blame Joe Burrow, blame Zach Taylor. Those are the biggest reasons they lost yesterday. 518-1410. We'll be back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be mostly cloudy, a high near 70. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy, a high near 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
So is this the line for Dragon's Maze?
Wow, the line is really long.
Mommy, we'll meet up later.
How long will you wait?
As long as it takes.
So you guys are only going to do this one ride all day?
It won't be that long, probably.
Mom, can you get us food?
Wait, are they cutting?
Caleb, food is so far away.
Should I say something?
Daddy, pick me up. Mom!
Hey, there's a line here.
Daddy, swing me.
That's like 20 people.
Oh my God.
One person holds the line for 20 people? This is bull.
Don't go there. Go on a real vacation. Go RVing. Learn more at GoRVing.com.
Dell Technologies' semi-annual sale has arrived, and it's time to upgrade to the latest business technology. Save big on laptops and desktops with Windows 11 Pro. Plus, get amazing deals on server, storage, and cloud solutions, as well as top work accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL for special business offers during our semi-annual sale.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code IMPACT at checkout. That's harrys.com, code IMPACT. Enjoy!
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy.
Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 10/1. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
It's time for Frickin' Football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a Frickin' Chicken Taco, Grilled Chicken Taco, or Mississippi Barbecue Taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Need to visit the Ohio BMV? Go online first. It could save you a trip. It's now easier and more convenient than ever to get what you need from the BMV online. Need to renew your driver's license? Renew online. And if you need to renew your vehicle registration, visit one of our new BMV Express kiosks or go online. If you do need to visit a BMV agency, use the Get in Line online tool, also found on the website, to save your spot and minimize your time waiting. For more services available online, check out bmv.ohio.gov.
You can test drive your future career at RTA's interactive hiring event, September 27th at UD Arena. Candidates can get behind the wheel of RTA's big bus or small non-CDL bus to get a feel for what it's like to be an RTA driver. RTA offers great benefits, including state retirement, medical, dental, and paid time off. Join us September 27th at UD Arena from 7 a.m. to noon or 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. RTA, it's not just a job, it's a career. Find more info at iRideRTA.org.
Oktoberfest at Milano's has begun. We're serving our once-a-year favorites like schnitzel sandwiches and German pizza. Get it to go or stay for the games with NFL Sunday Ticket. See you at Milano's Pizza, Subs, and Taps for big screen football.
Expand your outdoor living space with 11% off concrete landscape blocks from Menards. Get a free estimate instantly with our Design and Buy landscaping program. From patios and walkways to fire pits and retaining walls, you can create the landscape of your dreams. Visit a Menards store near you or menards.com to get started today. Save 11% on your block project. Good through September 18th. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Coming up in the next hour, Kev Nash and I will give you our Week 4 high school football top 5 performers here in the Miami Valley. Of course, last week we had the Trotwood Rams and the Alternites on Thursday night, but a lot of big games that went on last Friday night and Saturday over the weekend. A lot of big-time performances. So we'll give you our top 5 individual performances in the Miami Valley coming up here in hour number 2. But we opened up the show with reaction to everything that went down in the NFL Week 1. Technically, Week 1 still active as tonight the Broncos and the Seahawks will square off to round out Week 1, and then all attention will be shifted towards Week 2. But my goodness, a lot of impressive, we talked about who was most impressive, who was least impressive. For as far as the least or the most impressive, I said, look, without a shadow of a doubt, I think the Buffalo Bills looked the most ready. They looked the most physical and the most prepared on offense and defense. Josh Allen looked perfect. I love what he's doing and that Bills offense is doing. The Bills looked great. Patrick Mahomes, how is he going to look coming out, without, Tyreek Hill? The last time we saw them, they were dominating the Bengals in the first half of the AFC title game and then a complete meltdown in the second half. And that was with Tyreek Hill. What would they look like without him? Well, they looked unstoppable yesterday. And it was just the style of throws, the flair that Patrick Mahomes plays with. No one else in the league comes close to matching that. He's still the best QB in the NFL right now. And he showed you why yesterday. And then, of course, who was most impressive as well, I thought that the Vikings, although didn't look as dominating as the other two, they looked the most, balanced as far as dominating on defense, beyond efficient on offense. And Kirk Cousins, 273 or 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, handed it off, passed it when he needed to. That's exactly what you need out of him. And, that I think that's the Vikings have found that perfect balance, that perfect formula. Justin Jefferson looked like the best receiver in football yesterday. Adam Thielen, obviously Dalvin Cook. I mean, it was just, it's an impressive offense, Kevin. They got that new head coach, an offensive-minded head coach. That Vikings look pretty good.
Vikings definitely look good. We both picked them to win the AFC North and take over. Take over the NFC North and win that division, taking it from the Green Bay Packers. And now they technically have a 2-game lead over the Green Bay Packers since they won in Week 1.
And then, of course, the teams that kind of were pretty concerning, I thought the Cardinals, the way that they lost. Look, you can lose. You're allowed to lose. I don't care if teams lose, but it's how did you go about doing it? The Cardinals got blown out. When you have a quarterback that you just gave a lot of money to, that was an MVP favorite 2 months into the season last year, hoping to see that they were able to put things together in the offseason. And for him to look, as small as he did, and that wasn't a height joke. I know people like to do that with Kyler Murray, but the offense and him just looked small in that game. They did not look like they were a well-oiled machine. And they should have chemistry by now. This is a group and a unit that's been together for a few years. There's really no excuse. So you look at that, look at Green Bay, the way that they lost, not that they lost, the way they lost. Devontae Adams with the Raiders had more total receiving yards than all of the total receiving yards for the Packers wide receivers combined. It's unacceptable. I mean, you have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon to kind of balance the game out a little bit, but those two both ran for a hair under 50 yards apiece to begin with. No one in the run game's dominating. The pass game fell flat. The Packers are in trouble if that continues. And then I capped it off with the most concerning team in week one, and that was the Cincinnati Bengals. Not because I'm a hater. I put them as the most concerning guys because unlike the Packers and unlike the Cardinals, like this is a team that was in the Super Bowl a year ago and has everything you would think that they would need to get back. This is a Super Bowl caliber team on paper, and they did not look like that yesterday. Joe Burrow did not look like the leader that he was at the second half of last season. He looked like more of that indecisive turnover machine that he was in the first half of last year. He led the league in interceptions till about week 12 or 13 last year before he finally the game slowed down for him. I thought, yes, the Steelers defense is great. Joe Burrow just looked really, really bad. The coaching was really, really bad. The long snapper, the backup, yes, did technically play a role, but it should not have come down when the defense played as well as they did and held Trubisky and the Steelers offense to as low as they did. It shouldn't have come down to a long snapper having to hold for you to kick the game as regulation expires. Same thing in overtime. So that's all. That's just really kind of what I don't want to hear about a long snapper. Please spare me with the long snapper excuse. The problem with the Bengals came long before we were even aware of the long snapper issues starting to put a thumbprint on that game to begin with. 518-1410 reaction to the Bengals. Most concerning to the most impressive. We'll get into the Browns around the corner as well. For me, the Browns were just Well, the defense looked great. They played the Panthers. Offensive line was horrible. They're going to make a lot of defenses look like that. I need to see it against a better quality opponent before I get excited. But I think that the Steelers and the Bengals should both feel good about their defenses as of yesterday. 518-1410. Kev, who's up next?
Nick, line 2.
What up, Nick? How are you, sir?
Oh, you know how it goes, buddy.
You win some, you lose some.
I got 3 areas of blame for the Bengals. It starts with Zach Taylor running 4 new starters out on an offensive line against an aggressive team like the Steelers, playing absolutely 0 preseason snaps, no communication against real live other than playing your own team was stupidity. And I'm sorry, I know Kappa and Collins was hurt and things. You've got to get reps and communication as an offensive line on a team like the Steelers who stunt and blitz and bring people from every which way. Just stupidity.
I'm with you. And, someone brought this up last week, and I really didn't put a lot of stock into it. Maybe it was you. I don't remember. Someone had called in and said that the reason they're concerned about the Bengals in week 1 is because Zach Taylor mirrored everything that the Rams did with Sean McVay, his former, boss. And he approached the preseason the same way. And because of that, and because of how the Rams looked, that's what they think the Bengals are going to look like. And there was something to it.
It was me. And then, so my second one is Darren Simmons, who is, and I can't believe nobody's talked about this, or at least I've never heard this, right? Or nobody's brought this up. In a situational football game, my wife looked over and said, "Why are we kicking on 3rd down?" I say, "Hey, in case there's a bad snap, the holder's going to eat it, and we'll get the live and kick on 4th down." Why is Kevin Huber, who we kept as a veteran, still on this team when he's the one that rushed it down and put it down, and Evan McPherson's trying to kick it with the laces? I don't understand. Then Kevin Huber got off a veteran 14 or 15 seconds on the play clock and snapping the ball. I mean, Drew Chrisman, give him, all the love in the world. He's a Buckeye. But does he make these mistakes? If he is, then we can live with it. It's a fresh punter. This is a veteran of 20-some years who broke the record for most Bengal games played, and he's on this roster and made 2 costly mistakes.
It's just there were so many. It's like, and by the way, there's not one team this week, and there will not be one team for the remainder of the season that will play a perfect Sunday with zero mistakes. There's always, and especially when you lose, it's always easy to go back and nitpick those mistakes. If the Bengals make that field goal at the end, we're talking about the concerns and we're talking about the O-line, but it's the loss that just kind of magnified everything. But man, I'm still, what I can't get over, and that points you just brought up are good, but not challenging that Jamar Chase touchdown. The game's over if they do that. Like, that's nauseating, man.
Well, like I said, to me, I mean, you're drilling in, especially if you're you're a special teams coach, right? You should be drilling that into Hubert. Hey, backup snapper, bad snap. It's third down. It's third down right now. So if it's bad, just fall on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got fourth down. But instead, he's the high snap. He grabs it, throwing it down. I'm like, just lay on it. Those are the things that should be happening on the sideline. And it's like, what were the coaches doing at that time?
Yeah, I thought Zach Taylor looked lost. That just didn't look like a coaching staff coming off of a season where I thought he did his best coaching. I thought that the players responded to him a year ago. And I'm not saying they're not responding to him now. That's big time overreaction. I just thought for a coaching staff that looked like they came into their own last year, they looked like that Bengals staff from 2020. And I don't get that. I'm not going to overreact and say that's who they are, but this is just reacting to week one. And I thought they looked very unprepared and they just looked very out of sync. And I think a lot of it has to do with preseason, but I do think that they've been feeling themselves. I do believe, and by the way, that's not their fault. Every team that gets to a Super Bowl, you know what I mean? Like, that's okay. That happens. But when people bring those things up as a concern, this is why. And I think that was on full display yesterday afternoon.
I couldn't have said it better that they mirrored exactly what the Rams did, thinking that, and that's where the difference is. The Rams didn't add any people to make improvements, where the Bengals went out and spent this money on 3 brand new starters. Now, granted, they thought Jackson Carman was going to start at left guard. Yeah, he was on the team last year, but he played right guard all season long. So he still would have been starting a new position. And in the offensive line, it's all about communication. It's all about knowing when to switch off the twist and the turns. And that's why you've got to have some reps. And you can do that in practice, but at the same time, guys, especially nowadays with as light as practices aren't simulating nowhere anything near what we saw that first quarter. Pittsburgh came out hungry. Pittsburgh came out angry from the 2 you-know-what weapons that they got last year. And I'm pretty sure Mike Tomlin was drilling that in this whole week. You guys got embarrassed by the Bengals, and it showed. I feel bad for the Steelers and losing Watt, because he's a hell of a player. And you could just tell on his face when he came off that sideline, he was definitely hurt bad.
Yeah, but Nick, hey, man, great hearing from you, man. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Yes.
But no, Nick just said it, Kev. On Friday, remember, I got ripped up and down because I said Steelers, they're going to be in good shape because they know they got their ass kicked last year. But just so you guys know, you want to know why the Steelers came out physical and hungry against the Bengals? Because everything you guys tell us about how good your team is, the Bengals or the Steelers confirmed that on Sunday. They don't come out with that energy against a bum team. It's everything I said on Friday. The NFL respects them now. Every team respects them now. Every coaching staff is preparing a little harder for them now, in film, Kev. And mentally, these players, the Steelers defensive players, they're going to bed thinking of the Bengals for once, and not, in years past, they're just like, oh, it's almost like a little mini bye week tomorrow. Your team is good. I'm telling you they're good. I agree with you. But they did not play good, and I told you why they weren't going to play good on Friday. And you guys said, like I said, when in the world in sports talk radio did saying that the Steelers are going to beat your team become a hot take? I've never understood that, Kev.
Yeah, man. The things that the Pittsburgh Steelers did defensively was just different from what they normally do. Normally, like, they're blitzing off the A gaps and, letting TJ Watt do his thing. Like, they play a lot of coverage and they play a lot of dime, putting a lot of DBs on the field because they were able to take away the run. I thought I talked about this in the first segment, but the ability for them to stop the run is this the key for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they predicate themselves on making plays on the back end. That is why when Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded to this team, that defense took off. It got back looking like it was supposed to look. But last year, they couldn't look like that because they could not stop the run. Devin Bush was not good last year. Spillane was not good last year. Those are your 2 inside linebackers. You make that free agent acquisition to get Miles Jack, and then Brian Flores is out there. So you bring in one of the best linebacker coaches to coach up Devin Bush. He played good football yesterday, even played some good coverage on the wheel route out of the backfield from a running back. So you get the run defense playing better. That means your secondary guys like a Minkah Fitzpatrick can do what they do. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they saw some stuff that they didn't see from the Pittsburgh Steelers in years past, at least the last 2 years, because over the last 2 years, Minkah Fitzpatrick was playing in the box. He wasn't out there at the free safety spot. He was basically playing a glorified linebacker. But for me, if I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I'm not jumping off the bridge right now. Like, they could have won the game easily because they stymied the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. We're going to talk about Mitchell Trubisky. We're going to talk about that offensive line being bad. Whatever the case may be, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense did absolutely nothing. If it was the Steelers' bad offense or if it was the Bengals' good defense, they didn't do anything. So for the Cincinnati Bengals to have that many turnovers, to be that sacked that many times, and still basically have the game won on a play, and then it basically ending because it was a high snap and Minkah Fitzpatrick was able to get back there and block it. If I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, obviously I'm mad, but I'm like, all right, look, that's not going to happen again, right? You're not going to throw 4 interceptions again, right? We're not going to only rush for 85 yards again, right? Like, these are things like, all right, it's a bad loss because we turned the ball over left and right, but that's got to be the absolute worst game we could possibly play on offense. It's got to be. It doesn't get any worse than that. It's just outside of, the Steelers versus the Browns in the playoffs. Like, that's what that was. And guess what? The Browns blew the Steelers out. But in this case, the Steelers hung on to win, So the Cincinnati Bengals fans, y'all would be perfectly fine. Y'all will be okay. Y'all go back to the drawing board. Y'all score a lot of points. Y'all do a lot of things. One thing I do want to give props to on the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, only one drop. Only one drop. Last year, throughout the season, he had a lot of drops. I think he led the league in drops. He
led all rookies with drops last year.
He that catch. I know everybody's talking about the one he caught that probably should have been a touchdown, everything like that. The other one, the one-handed one where his foot was out of bounds. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. And that was a dime. That was a dime. It was a dime throw and a great catch. Foot out of bounds, though.
And that's the thing. Like, Joe Burrow had the worst game of the weekend. Like, he made good throws. He connected on some very impressive passes. Him and Jamar, even on Joe Burrow's worst day, him and Jamar are in sync, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was amazing. I started looking at Jamar Chase's stat line. I'm like, the Bengals offense is playing horrible. Joe Burrow, it reminded me of the Raiders game. Carr did not look good at all, but him and Devontae Adams, I think
they're on the same page.
Carr and Adams' chemistry is very similar to Burrow and Jamar Chase's. Now, relax. I'm not saying Carr's better than Burrow. I just said their chemistry, though. Like, Carr did not have a good day yesterday, but he had a very good day with Devontae Adams. Burrow did not have a good day yesterday. He had a great day with Jamar Chase. So to sum up this thing, when it comes to the Bengals, folks, you think I'm beating on them. I'm not. They were, when I said they're the most concerning team yesterday, they were. That was embarrassing. That was bad. That was Joe Burrow turning the ball over 5 times. You're supposed to criticize your quarterback if he does that. You could do the whole, the long snappers, why he threw 4 interceptions thing, which is very weird to me. That has nothing to do with anything. But if that's how you want to sleep better at night, fine. But I'm going to be screaming in your ear the whole time, like, hey, long snapper has nothing to do with Joe Burrow throwing 4 interceptions and fumbling it 5 times. And a couple interceptions were dropped. Let's just be clear. There was even more interceptions on the board. But the bottom line is Joe Burrow played his worst game ever. I think Zach Taylor coached his worst game ever. I thought that special teams obviously was horrendous. All of those things, Kev, all of those things.
Yeah.
And they still had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 chances to win towards the end of regulation and in overtime. That's a good thing because better teams that played better than the Bengals got their ass kicked yesterday, and y'all didn't. Look, you're fine. Like it is what it is. It's one of those where you're sick about it. And if you lose the division by a game, you're going to rewind all the way back to September 11th yesterday and remember that this game is why we didn't make the playoffs. Or no. Maybe if you miss the playoffs by a game or miss winning the division by a game, you're going to remember that game yesterday.
Yeah,
that's just the reality of it. But Joe Burrow will not have a game worse than he played yesterday. I can promise you that. And I'm a hater, remember? So there you go.
On the flip side of that, speaking as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, had to have it because when TJ Watt is coming off the field and you read his lips, I tore my pec, it's torn. automatically, not to say I'm a doctor or anything like that, but my mom was a nurse for 40 years. That's a season ender if it's torn. So in my head, I immediately went to like, that sucks. All right. So if he's out for the season, we got to win this game.
Yep.
You know, we can't have the double win. We can't lose him for the season and lose this game. So I got one of the two. You know, I would obviously rather have TJ Watt for the rest of the season, to be perfectly honest.
So there you go. But all right, 518-1410, 518-1410. Someone called me out, William Yelly. Where did his message go? He said, oh, when I talked about the Bengals being the worst, that to me was the worst game of the weekend as far as worst performance of the weekend. The reason I put the Bengals as the worst, most concerning performance of the weekend is because they had the highest of all expectations for all the teams that lost. Name another team that lost that has had as high as expectations as the Bengals, or at least lost in that manner. The Rams were defending Super Bowl champs. That was concerning. But I think that the Bengals was even more concerning because the Rams lost to a way better team, in my opinion. So William says the worst is the Cowboys, and it's not even close. Are you kidding me, Kenner? The Cowboys, the reason it's not worse is because we've said all offseason, Cowboys have no offense. They have no receivers. They traded Amari Cooper away, and CeeDee Lamb's not a number one wide receiver. He's a true number 2. It's embarrassing he's wearing number 88, to be honest with you.
And they gave Gallup that big contract off a knee injury. Not the problem that they gave him a contract, but he's not out there on the field.
Yeah.
It'd be a different story if he was on the field. They would have him and CeeDee Lamb out there. Then you'd about to be working with something. But the ability for them just to push the ball down the field was not there at all, and drop passes.
So the reason I don't have the Cowboys in my most concerning is because I had no high expectations for the Cowboys to begin with. For me, it was one of those, like, I was concerned that Dak was not going to be able to throw the ball all around the field like he used to because he has no one to throw it to. Very similar to the Packers. The difference is I have higher expectations for Aaron Rodgers, which is why I had the Packers in my most concerning list than I do for Dak Prescott. The Cowboys, you know why that's not concerning, guys? Because they did what they were technically expected to do. They were expected to struggle offensively. In fact, they were technically expected to get their ass kicked more on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think the Bucs looked very good offensively. Ron said earlier, I think the Bucs looked the most well-rounded. That's another homer speaking about his Buccaneers. They did not look good either. But they got bailed out because the Cowboys offense was non-existent. So William, I understand what you're saying. They look like a disaster. I feel you. I always try to incorporate expectations with results and not who looked the worst. Because there were teams that looked worse than the Bengals. But it was just one of those things where I think the Cowboys looked worse than the Bengals.
Yeah.
To be fair. But the Bengals had expectations, and that's why I put them as the most concerning.
To the Dallas Cowboys point, CeeDee Lamb wearing 88, Michael Irvin's number, 11 targets, only 2 receptions. Like, come on, dude. Come on.
Yep.
Like, that is crazy. You got targeted 11 times and you only got 2 catches. Like, I know you and I differ about Dak, but could all this be chalked up to the lack of preseason reps and real game reps in the preseason? I don't know. I personally think you get better reps out of practice than preseason when you're going out there for one drive and then putting on a baseball cap the rest of the game. But I guess we'll never know because Dak has broken his thumb and he'll be out for 6-7 weeks and is getting a pin put in it. So they're cooked.
By the way, Josh Allen played a lot in the preseason, looked the best. Patrick Mahomes played a lot in the preseason, also looked the best. I think just because Sean McVay, anything he says or does, the league follows. That's just it. I don't know. That's fascinating to me. Let's do another call before we take another pause in the action. 518-1410. Kev, who's up?
B.O.B. Bob, line 3.
Bob, how are you, sir? Welcome. Bob, you still there?
Bobby.
Bob, call back, sir. We'll get you back to the front of the line. Let's go to Ron, I believe. Ron, how are you?
Man, how do you disrespect my team like that, man? I
didn't disrespect your team. Your team disrespected us by playing as boring as they did last night. My goodness. I mean, Tom Brady, instead of getting plastic surgery for 11 days, should have been practicing with his team. My goodness.
Tight.
Yeah, my eyes were as tightly closed as his cheekbones were. I was asleep. I couldn't even watch that whole boring mess.
They're taking some relief off of it. They're running the football. I mean, Fournette had a hell of a game.
You know who runs the football? Teams who can't pass.
What? Anyway, I ain't listening to this, but
did you just sneeze or cough? I'm just curious.
It was a cough.
Okay.
I got allergies.
No,
So,
but no, in all seriousness, I mean, look, the Bucs got to win. I picked the Cowboys to win because I was just kind of hoping that they would find that balance with the run game. Like the Packers and the Cowboys had very similar games where the quarterbacks just looked out of sync because they have no one to throw to. They wanted to rely on the run game. The run game just wasn't stable enough to kind of outdo it. But you are right. Leonard Fournette did look really good. It's a name you always forget about. And I like Julio Jones. In fact, after the game, Ron, I like giving you crap about your team. But I went and I was able to pick up Julio Jones on my fantasy team off waivers just because Godwin went down. I had Godwin as my starter, by the way. He goes out. So I had to go grab a Julio Jones off waivers, by the way. So we'll see.
They said it wasn't his knee; it was a hamstring. So
is it hamstring? So what is it? Maybe it's overcompensating from the knee injury, right?
I don't know. I mean, they might have pushed him in too soon, but I'm telling you what, that team's got a lot of depth at everywhere. I'm telling you, and I ain't worried about them. Like the O line, Brady's going to get his ass kicked and all this stuff. Well, he didn't get pressured that much. He had a few sacks, but I mean, nothing like blitzes.
No, and Cowboys don't have the best pass rush, but that they do have Micah Parsons, who was impressive, but they don't have a lot of depth. The Cowboys don't. Look, Ron, I like to give you crap about the Bucs, but they're pretty good. They'll be there when it's all said and done. At least one of the teams, competing at the end. No, it was just a boring game. I thought that a lot of exciting games yesterday. Yeah. I thought that one was a big snoozer, but at least your team comes out with a win and a snoozer, so that's all that matters.
Shoot,
you're right.
I was watching the games at home, and obviously after the Pittsburgh and Bengals game, like you're riding that high, and then it immediately goes into the Cardinals and Kansas City, and it's a blowout from the jump. So I'm like, oh man. And then I'm like, all right, well, cool. We got Tampa and Dallas, and like that was a snooze fest too. So the games that I watch outside of that was just boring. Boring. Like watching.
I want to see what they
Iowa.
do. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kev. I'm sorry. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Hey, what did wasn't there something said about the Scott Frost thing about who beat them this week? It was
it Georgia Southern who beat Nebraska?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Either way, they lost to a team. Oh no, they lost to a team they had no business losing to. But what about it, Ron?
Well, the announcer after the game said they made a comment. They said, "We like corn."
Wow.
So, I mean, that's like just a kick in the butt,
Yeah, we're getting fired 3 games in is also a kick in the butt too. That ain't good. But hey, Ron,
Georgia Southern. Yeah.
But Ron, we're up against the clock, man. I hate to cut you off. Appreciate you waiting on hold. We'll talk soon, man. Yes, his Buccaneers 1-0 win over the Cowboys. We didn't even get to the Cleveland Browns. We're going to get to the Cleveland Browns coming up now. We're number 2. But phone lines are going to remain open. A lot of action going on in the chat section. We'll continue to get to that and react to that in a moment. We got college football around the corner we'll dive into. Kevin and I are off the next 2 days because of Reds baseball, so we're trying to cram everything into today's show. So be patient with us, but we're going to get to your team as soon as we can. But you can also bring your team to the conversation by calling in 518-1410. Phone lines are open. I know, Bob, we cut you off a little bit ago. We'll get you back to the front of the line. A couple of you still waiting. But yeah, let's take more of your calls. We'll talk, of course, about the Browns win over the Panthers and why I don't know. I thought that game was kind of boring too, even though it had an exciting finish down the stretch. But kudos to the Steelers and the Bengals. That was the game of the weekend, not just because the Steelers won, but I mean, just the excitement and the back and forth and just the drama. And yeah, it was exciting.
The stress.
The stress, yeah. But yeah, 518-1410, more of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
When you download the Home Depot app, taking on big or small projects starts with a tap. It's your pocket-sized toolbox for getting more done. Image search helps you find what you need with a snap. Store mode pinpoints exactly where to go to get what you want while you're at our store. Or just tap to arrange for easy curbside pickup, all from the palm of your hand. It's the app that's made for doing. The Home Depot app. How doers get more done.
Everyone, who's manning the front tonight?
Biggie's nightclub needs a bouncer with a military background.
Dougie, I need you to keep eyes on the back.
Security who lays down the no-no when the unts get too intense.
That Swedish DJ duo is back tonight. Y'all remember last time.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The NFL season is here, and you can get in on all the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. To celebrate the best time of year, DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at a $1 million top prize during Week 1. If you haven't tried DraftKings yet, now is the time. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Nothing adds to the excitement of watching the game quite like having a free shot at a huge cash prize. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code WING1410. For a limited time, new customers get a free shot at a $1 million top prize during Week 1. Enter code WING1410 only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Looking for dippable chicken that's done right? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the 10-piece strips meal at a great price. You'll get 10 premium chicken tenderloins that are freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to crispy perfection, along with 2 of our large sides, 5 fluffy biscuits, and 3 of your favorite dipping sauces. These are the best strips, no bones about it. Make your family and your wallet happy with the 10-piece strips meal, only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Guys, are you getting up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? As we get older, so do our prostates, and that can mean urinary problems that affect our sleep and quality of life. Life is better outside the bathroom. Real Health's Prostate Complete can help you relieve those annoying and painful prostate symptoms. Available at Walmart or visit realhealth.com for more information and to order yours today. Try it risk-free with our 120-day money-back guarantee. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
Cordell Transportation is celebrating Truck Driver Appreciation Week with a special hiring event September 12th through 15th, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. Stop by 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Must fill out an application and have an active CDL to enjoy free refreshments. On-the-spot interviews, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and they're now hiring recent truck driver school graduates. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics, restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Castrol Edge Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every tank. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You can't get much for $5 these days, unless you go to Wendy's for a $5 biggie bag. Get your choice of double stack, junior bacon cheeseburger, or crispy chicken BLT, plus 4-piece nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $5. That was smooth, wasn't it? That's how you're going to feel when you get that biggie bag at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes 4-piece nuggets, small soft drink, and small fry. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. K.J. Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
We are already heading in to week 5 of the high school football season. Technically, it is week 5 of the high school football season. This Friday night, Buckeye legend Keith Byers and myself, we will be live at Wayne High School for Wayne and, of course, Miamisburg. 518-1410, by the way, Kev. We got calls coming in, so we'll get to those coming up here in just a second. But reaction to everything you saw from over the weekend, NFL Week 1. Lots of good stuff coming in on the social media front side of things. So this comes in from Brian Hetzel. Shout out to Brian. He says, Bengals needed to play their starters during the preseason, especially to get the line more time to gel. To be fair here, we've seen other makeshift offensive lines not need preseasons to gel, but I don't think it would have hurt. There's sluggish offensive line play because of no chemistry, Kevin, and then there was yesterday. To be fair, though, I don't know if it wasn't the preseason that helped or hurt the offensive line. I think the Bengals just seemed out of sorts from the second that game started, and I don't necessarily think that that's offensive line chemistry. I think there was offensive chemistry, coaching chemistry. There was a lot of issues that I guess maybe the preseason could have helped, but there just seemed to be way too much wrong yesterday that I don't know if preseason would have helped that. I just think some days you're bad, and then there's other days where it's beyond bad. That was a very bad day at the office. The Bengals, there were some bad Sundays last year. This reminded me of that Browns game from last year. And in fact, coincidentally enough, it started with the pick 6 to Denzel Ward. And no, I'm not mouthing off here. I'm just being serious. You remember that, Kev, where no matter what Joe Burrow did that day, it just kept getting worse and worse. The offense couldn't just figure it out. I think there's just some Sundays the game kicks off and it's just not your day. And it wasn't their day. Joe Burrow's not a 4-pick-a-guy, right? Like, that's just not who he is. That offense, he will turn it over. He's a above average turnover quarterback, but that's because of his style of play. He does hold on to it a little too long. But with that being said, I also think his style of play doesn't help with an offensive line who is trying to figure him out, which to Brian's point may be why preseason would have been important. Your team also has offensive line issues. Do you believe preseason helps with that? I just don't. Those guys are too good. They added Karras from the Patriots. You added the big guy, Lyle Collins. You added legitimate dudes that know how to play offensive line. I don't necessarily think it was all chemistry issues, if you ask me.
I don't think it's chemistry issues because the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive linemen guys played the entire preseason. They still look like hot garbage.
Yep.
I think
you have a lot of new guys too.
Yeah, they got a lot of new guys too. And I just think it was a talent thing. Like, look, TJ Watt is the defensive player of the year. He's made better offensive tackles look bad. You put Cameron Hayward up against a rookie on the offensive line. What do you think is going to happen? He's going to walk him back into the quarterback. Like, I just think that the Pittsburgh Steelers came out and dominated on defense, and everybody and their mom said, well, the offense is going to be shaky, but yeah, that defense is going to be legit. I just think the defense is just real good. And they turned the ball over a ton, which basically won the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Steelers needed all those turnovers to win the game. If they drop one more interception, the Bengals win. The Bengals win probably going away because the offense got past the 50 in the second half one time, and that was in overtime where Mitchell Trubisky finally made a play with his legs. That was something I was screaming about. Like, look, man, why are we doing this? Just, hey, we're just going to hand it off into the line of scrimmage. Let's put him out on the perimeter. It's basically, when I saw Mitchell Trubisky play with the Bears, that's what we were doing with him. Instead of doing the things that he does well, which is move around and use his athletic ability, that was driving me absolutely crazy. So as much as I love Coach T, Coach Tomlin, and everything like that, for everything that he does for the team, that is very annoying that, like, yeah, we're just going to drop him back and we're just going to hand it off. Like, let's put him on the move a little bit. Let's move him around. And when he did get put on the move, he made a play. So, yeah, I just think it was Pittsburgh Steelers defense making a lot of plays out there, man. Like, they were ferocious yesterday.
They were, and, you know, I get a lot of Bengals fans come at me and say, well, they're not going to play the Bengals defense every week. I get that, but you will face those kind of defenses come playoff time. And if your standard of fandom is, well, we only need to be good enough to face a Steelers team twice a year and not face you got to be good enough when you get to the postseason because you're going to face defenses like that. And by the way, the same thing that I said about the Steelers yesterday, you're not blowing out the Ravens again this year, and you're not blowing out the Browns, and you haven't beat the Browns yet. So the division is tough. That's just the bottom line. But last thing on the Bengals game, Kev, Joe Mixon, 27 carries, 82 yards. Steelers, not a very good run defensive team, or at least weren't last year. I know they fine-tuned some things, getting better linebacker play, being able to put, obviously, Fitzy back where he needs to be. That helps. He could swarm to the ball more too. But I thought the Bengals moved the ball well to start. I thought Joe was actually getting some good, carries on the ground early. But, man, once they trailed and once they were trying to get back into it, they really kind of took the run game away. But he did carry the ball 27 times, averaged 3 yards a carry. It just wasn't good enough. Joe Mixon has to be better too.
Yeah, and I think that just has everything to do with, the newfound defense with the Pittsburgh Steelers to all 11 hats on the ball. Like, if you go back and look at the Tennessee Titans game from last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that wasn't Derrick Henry back there running, but it sure looked like Derrick Henry was running back there. The backup had over 100 yards, and then the backup to the backup had 80 yards rushing. And then you look at what Nick Chubb was able to do against the Pittsburgh Steelers in years past. Like, they have been absolutely they were dead last, 32 in the NFL, 32 in run defense with the defensive player of the year, who's a great defensive guy against the run, not just the pass. So I think those tweaks that they've done to the defense have gone a long way for the Steelers. And the Cincinnati Bengals, they'll be perfectly fine because, they're not going to try to throw the ball 53 times again. They're just not. That's something you do out of necessity because you got to get back into the game. They won't be throwing it 53 times again.
No, but this goes back. Remember, more Joe, less Joe. More Joe Mixon, less Joe Burrow. They gave you a lot of Joe Mixon yesterday. He didn't produce, and they had to go a lot of Joe Burrow because they were trailing in the game and trying to come from behind. Again, last thing on this, Joe Burrow played his worst game of his career. Zach Taylor coached his worst game of his career. The Bengals did the worst. That was the worst McPherson game. That was the worst special teams game of the Bengals the last 2 years. So all that being said, they had a bajillion chances to win at the end. Even with all that, I'd say they're okay. Teams I had, and again, I'm getting more questions. Why are the Bengals the most disappointing team in week one when other teams had worse performances? You have to include expectations, folks. That's why. This isn't an I hate the Bengals segment. This is just reality. The Patriots looked worse than the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday. But the Patriots don't have a whole lot of high expectations. I didn't expect Mac Jones to go out and throw it all over the field and look like an MVP candidate. I expected that out of Joe Burrow. I expected Joe Burrow and that offense to be a well-oiled machine in year 3, technically year 2, but looking like a well-oiled machine last year in year 1 at full-time, full year as a starter. I expected that. The Cowboys. How come I don't have the Cowboys on my most disappointment list? Because I didn't expect Dak to look great with no elite wide receivers and a banged-up offensive line and not an elite defense. I had no expectations for them. So when the Cowboys looked bad, and they did look worse than the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cowboys looked how I expected them to. The Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have a lot working against them. Their offensive line is banged up as well. They have no help at wide receiver. We just assumed that because they have Aaron Rodgers that he could take any wide receiver and turn him into Devontae Adams. That's not the case. And so yesterday the Packers looked disappointing, but I think a lot of people expected them to kind of come out flat like that, because I don't care if you are the best quarterback in the league. And I still think Aaron Rodgers, when you talk about Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, it's 1A and 1B, not a lot of separation there. You put Patrick Mahomes on this Packers roster right now, Patrick Mahomes not doing anything different than what Aaron did yesterday. So it's a bad spot. So I don't have the Packers on that, or I do have them on that list, but I expected a little more from A-Rod. But the thing is, they're going to be fine. Like they just are who they are. There were plenty of teams who looked worse than the Bengals, but none of those teams had as high as expectations as Cincinnati. That's why I think they're the biggest disappointment in week 1.
Speaking about the Green Bay Packers, man, Aaron Rodgers said this way early in training camp, talking about we got to catch the ball. And that, I mean, the rookie wide receiver, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he got behind the defense and badoink. So, like, he ain't wrong. He wasn't lying. He wasn't exaggerating. So whatever was going on in camp happened on the field yesterday. And I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is probably having some major self-reflection about, like, okay, maybe I should have bounced when I had the chance, because these dudes can't be dropping the ball. Like, you can't throw a better pass than that. Like, you can't. That was basically a handoff. And he dropped it. So, not saying that would have changed the outcome of the game, but yo, that's a momentum killer right there.
Packers also didn't have to trade Devontae Adams. Well, but he asked out. Well, Kareem Hunt asked out, and he balled out for the Browns yesterday. So the Packers also don't do their part either. They didn't put again, Aaron Rodgers is a classic example of a guy that gets punished for his success, because he has done so much with so little for so long that they take advantage of that a bit at times. All right. You know what I mean? Like, they don't show that urgency in free agency to go get him elite weapons. In fact, the biggest move of the offseason was, yes, signing him again, but moving on from Devontae Adams. It's like, you can't do that and expect them to continue clicking. It just doesn't work that way. Who do we have, Kev?
We got Packers fan Tim.
Packers fan Tim. Tim, it's been a while. How are you, sir?
The Packers' most disappointing game, the most disappointing team yesterday. Not just because of the rookie wide receivers.
What's his name, Tim?
New number one.
We're spacing on the
Christian Watson.
Yes.
There we go.
Christian
Thanks, sir.
Watson.
Appreciate it.
And, you know, Romeo Dubs, we expect those guys to struggle some, but what I'm so disappointed and worried about is something that's very fundamental, and that's injuries to the offensive line. Elton Jenkins, you know, all-pro, not playing, but David Bakhtiari. I mean, this guy was back-to-back first-team All-Pro, and he hasn't been out there. He was out all last year. This injury's taken so long. He's had to get a few other things done. He came out for 27 snaps in that meaningless game just against the Detroit last year, Game 17, just to try to, he's be back for the playoffs. He wasn't. He's not back now. And when you're playing against a team with two really good pass rushers and a guy like Zadarius Smith, who had it out for the Packers.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm just glad he didn't hurt Rodgers. I was thinking, man, what if he, you know, I mean, he took him down and everything, but he didn't, you know, because I was thinking, okay, Rodgers got to get through this game and not get hurt. But the thing is, I mean, he was just rushing over our center, our guards, you know, between those young guys. I think if we don't have Bakhtiari back and we don't have Jenkins back, that's going to be tough. Last year they did it almost all the year without Bakhtiari and a lot of the year without Jenkins, but they were running an offense where Rodgers was just throwing really quick passes, really quick passes. And you do that to a team once, and then you saw how the 49ers, you know, played in the playoffs.
Squatting
It's
on all the
different than
short
we beat
routes.
them. In fact, even when they beat them in the playoff, in the regular season too, do you remember the Packers were down and Rodgers got the ball back with 37 seconds left, no times out, drives him down the field to kick the field goal to win by a point. You know, so that was a close game to begin with. But what I'm most worried about is our damn defense. This was supposed to be a great defense. This was supposed to be a defense that was going to be, you know, with, you know, great players at every level. And Justin Jefferson, who you know is going to have a good game, but I'm just so confused. I'm not a coach, you know, but.
Oh, we lost him.
Hey, Tim.
Switch to man and yes.
You cut out, sir. That's all my fault. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. No, the zone defense isn't working. You got to switch to man and just put Jair Alexander all the time. I know you can't do that and have all the rest of the guys playing zone. That can be confusing, who's going where and all that kind of stuff. But you just got to take some desperate action and switch. So I'm really worried about the defense. We only got one sack. Rodgers got sacked 4 times, was hurried and hit a bunch of other times. and I'm worried about that. Hitting a 38-year-old man is going to take a different toll than hitting a 25-year-old man. So Burrow can take all those sacks. I don't know how long Rodgers is going to be able to do that. He's in great shape and all that, but there's a difference, man. So as a Packer fan, I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in the defense. Our running game was actually good, Justin. The running game, they couldn't run it too much because they were so far behind. They just, weren't going to.
I think what Jones and Dillon both I think under 50 yards each. I think as a team they rushed for over 100 yards, but it's just no back physically took over the game. But to your point, I mean, you saw Kirk Cousins march right down the field, 70-yard drive, a touchdown to Justin Jefferson in the opening drive, and from that point on, the Packers were playing catch up from the very beginning. So yes, that is a valid.
And they
point.
Weren't getting any rush on him. We were supposed to have Rashawn Gary. He was supposed to have Preston Smith. We got Jerron Reed as a free agent to help. I thought, wait a second. I'm so disappointed in the defense. I'm not a coach. I'm disappointed in the coaching. I'm not worried about Rodgers. I'm not even that worried about the young receivers, but the Packers were definitely, because the Packers have high expectations too. The Packers have high expectations this year, and I think we're as desperate as the Bengals are to get back to that Super Bowl and to win one. So you're close, but the Packers were the biggest disappointment. Good show, you guys.
Tim, I got a quick question for you.
Oh, he gone.
Oh, dang.
He gone.
No, I was just going to ask him.
the question anyway. Tim usually gets on Facebook. Tim could answer it on Facebook if he's.
So I was going to ask him how's his feeling seeing Devontae Adams still put up Devontae Adams numbers with the Raiders and thinking like, man, that still should be on our team. He should still be doing that for us. And we wouldn't have lost this game to start the season if the Green Bay Packers would have, treated him right 2 years ago, because this whole thing with Devontae Adams isn't just last season. Like, he wanted a contract extension the years before that, and then they let him get to this point to say, like, okay, I want out completely. Nah, they offered him more money to stay with them, but he chose to take less money to go to the Raiders. So out of kind of like lack of respect situation. So I was just asking Tim, how does it feel to see their star receiver that they developed playing for another team and putting up numbers, kind of a la what AJ Brown is doing with the Eagles? Like, he had 10 for 155 with Philly yesterday, while the guys with the Tennessee Titans are dropping passes, giving up 17-0 leads to the Giants. Kind of frustrating.
Again, the one thing is we talk about the AFC North in general right now. A lot of impressive defenses yesterday, but who was the most impressive defensively? How impressive was the Bengals defense, despite us talking so much about the lackluster performance of the special teams, the coaching, and, of course, the offense? Just really curious people's thoughts on that. So we'll get to that around the corner. We haven't even jumped into the Browns yet. The Browns 1-0. The Ravens 1-0. The Steelers 1-0. The entire AFC – oh, no. Almost. Almost. The Cleveland Browns are better than the Cincinnati Bengals, and they don't even have Deshaun Watson yet. Look at that. Would you just look at it? We're going to go to commercial break because I'm just going to sit here and look at it. I'm just going to look at the standings. Look at the Browns being right there at the top, while the Bengals are at the bottom. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks are so good, some are saying they're better than their moms. Perfectly crispy, perfectly golden brown. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today and see if they're better than your mom's.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Over the last year and a half, we all learned some hard lessons. One of the most important is that you can't put off the inevitable. Hi, this is Mark Davis at Dayton Memorial Park Cemetery and Mausoleums. No matter how hard it is to think about, we all need a final resting place. When pre-planning with your funeral home, Please remember that cemetery arrangements must also be made. Call us today at 937-890-1831 or visit our website at DaytonMemorialPark.com. And remember, Dayton Memorial Park is a beautiful place to celebrate life.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is excited to announce their new delicious spicy bourbon chicken sandwich is here. It's the best of both worlds. Their spicy bourbon dippers that you love brought into a sandwich you'll crave. It's made with their famous spicy chicken sandwich, smothered in their special bourbon barbecue sauce, dripping with flavor on a brioche bun. Enjoy it in a combo with your favorite side and a drink, priced just right at only $6.99 and only available at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Miami Valley locations. Lee's, famous for spicy bourbon chicken.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
If you're one of the 100 million Americans who suffer from high blood pressure, this is for you. New Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure is specially formulated for people with high blood pressure. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free and alcohol-free. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is also decongestant-free, unlike some ordinary cold medicines. So look for Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure medicine. Use as directed.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code IMPACT at checkout. That's harrys.com, code IMPACT. Enjoy.
TrackPhone wants to know, are you an influencer, a big live streamer? No? And guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackPhone's $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at TrackPhone.com.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill in the morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Keep your vehicle running smoothly with Menard's huge selection of motor oil. Pennzoil offers superior synthetic motor oil packed with the latest technology and revolutionary innovation. This oil can get you better fuel economy and protects and cleans your engine to keep you on the road. Save big and get a 5-quart jug of Pennzoil motor oil for just $17.69 at Menards. Good through September 18th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, body shop manager at Germain Honda Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks are so good. Some are saying they're better than their moms. Perfectly crispy, perfectly golden brown. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today and see if they're better than your mom's.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So we talked a lot about the most disappointing teams. We've talked about the most surprising teams, the teams we were most impressed with. A couple teams we have not talked about yet are individual players. How about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears getting a big win in week one? The elements definitely worked out in their favor. But as far as the grades I give to the Niners and to the Bears, it's an incomplete. The weather totally and the elements totally kind of neutralized that game, and it was just going to be who found a way to out-tough the elements more than the other. I will say this, though. Trey Lance did not look good. Justin Fields did look pretty good. Justin Fields, was just I thought he looked more like a leader than Trey Lance yesterday. Both, same amount of time in the league. Justin has more reps under his belt, of course. But I think the Bears might be okay with Justin Fields. There's just something with him out there, the way he kind of moves around and kind of controls what we're used to that. I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's having a great year. I think the Bears are going to struggle no matter what. But it was kind of cool seeing him get that big win over the Niners yesterday.
You talk about leadership. That's something that Justin Fields kind of struggle with at Ohio State. Not like being a leader, but just being a vocal person and, putting himself out there. He's kind of like one of those guys that leads by example, not a rah-rah guy. Hey, follow my lead. I'm going to, pump everybody up before the game, kind of handles his business and goes out and plays great football for the Buckeyes and everything like that. And I know it's a small thing, but as the clock was winding down, I'm sure everybody's seen it over social media and ESPN, everything like that. He kind of does the water slide thing into the end zone after they get their first victory, and the whole team did it with him and everything like that. I know it's a small thing, but those type of small things can galvanize a team and to get behind a player, person and everything like that. And also you got to think about this. There was a lot of rumors that the San Francisco 49ers were going to draft Justin Fields as well. It was first Mac Jones, then it went to Justin Fields, then eventually they went up and took Trey Lance. So you have that element in there as well. And it kind of reminded me of the Buffalo and Patriots game last year in the wind tunnel type of situation where offenses really couldn't do too much of anything because it was just so windy. In this case, it was just so much water. It was basically like playing in puddles the entire game. But Justin Fields and that Bears offense made enough plays to get the dub.
So, and then, of course, you think about some of the other teams. So this is coming in, continue to go down the list. Brian Staley says the most disappointing team of the weekend was the Bengals. The most disappointing player of the weekend was Trey Lance. And the most disappointing coach was Marcus Freeman.
Oh, man.
But Brian goes on to say the Bengals were a surprise disappointment. Look, they're the only surprise disappointment. The only team that surprised people with the inability to live up to the expectation. It was honestly the Bengals. That's it. There's really no other team. Could you think of another team that didn't live up to expectations?
Both Super Bowl teams.
But that's kind of what we've been saying. And anytime that people would bring that up, Bengals fans would get pissed off. No, not our team. You think every team that was in the Super Bowl the year before felt confident about themselves heading into the next year. And everything that people warned them about kind of appeared yesterday. Not being sharp, not being invested, not being buttoned up, looking like a team that, wasn't invested into the offseason. And I don't mean financially. The Bengals invested financially into that offensive line, but they don't look like a team that I've heard more about days for guys in that camp. We're not even talking about the preseason. I don't even care about the preseason games. There was so much time missed for players being injured. Remember about a month and a half before the season, I kept saying, not a big deal. This guy's out here. This guy's out. There's no severe injury news. I said, but sometimes when you put all the small problems together, it does equal a big problem. I think we saw that yesterday. There was a lot of time missed in the preseason, and it wasn't always preseason games. It was preseason practices, veteran rest days for players. Where Joe Burrow missed a lot of time. It's not his fault. He had to go get, an appendectomy. But the point is that happened. And when that happened, Kenner's going to overreact to him having to get his appendix out. I'm not overreacting to it, but that happened. And it did lead to him not being on the field for a good amount of time. He needed time with his offensive line. Collins missed a ton of time. Karras missed a ton of time. That mattered yesterday. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of moving parts that led to the Bengals looking as poor as they did yesterday. And I think that even if they win next week, they're going to have to battle it out with the Cowboys, with the backup team. I think the Bengals, they're in trouble for a couple weeks. I think they eventually get it together, but I think the first 3 weeks of the season are kind of their mini preseason, if you will. They're trying to iron out all the kinks. We'll see.
Who was worse, the Cincinnati Bengals offense or the Rams defense?
I would say the Rams. Oh, man. I'm saying
it is not often that I stomp Kenner. It is not often. That's normally me getting stomped by you, one from your good questions.
Going up against one of the most explosive offenses, and the Bengals offense going up against one of the most dynamic defenses. I'm going to say it was more embarrassing watching the Bengals do what they do, just because they did it against this defense a year ago. Like, that's what I was told all last week. It was bad. It was bad from top to bottom. It had nothing to do with the backup long snapper. But the reason I say that is that may have impacted that kick, but that kick should have never mattered.
Right.
Trubisky was not. It's not that he wasn't good, Kev. He was good for what they asked him to do.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad. Joe Burrow was bad yesterday. Trubisky wasn't bad yesterday. Trubisky actually did what he's going to do, and that's just move the ball very methodically. Very boring, sometimes not at all. Joe Burrow, though, is expected to move that ball. And, he threw an opening drive touchdown pass just the other way. So
I will go the Rams defense because Aaron Donald, and we all know how good Aaron Donald, correction, we all know how great Aaron Donald is. He didn't breathe on Josh Allen on Thursday night. We all know how good Jalen Ramsey is. Yep. He got scorched. It's a lot of high price, high names on that Rams defense that was just absolutely terrible. The high price, or not even high price yet, but the well-known commodity from the Cincinnati Bengals offense, be it their number one guy on offense, he was bad. Yeah. I think the entire Rams defense was bad. Even, they got back Troy Hill. I know he had an interception and everything like that. He still was getting scorched. So I'm going to go with the Rams defense was worse than the Cincinnati Bengals offense in week 1.
How about, again, Matt Ryan returning to the Colts, a tie with the Texans. Ties, I think, are embarrassing. Losses are bad. Ties are embarrassing. Ties are better than losses when it comes to playoff standings, but they were down early and down big, and Matt Ryan led the comeback. Matt Ryan, in his defense, though, he was moving the ball. Receivers were dropping balls left and right. The Colts have a very good team. To be fair, I should have probably had them on my disappoint. Actually, you know what? I screwed up. The Packers, because Tim talked about how he thinks they're the most disappointing. The Packers may have been disappointing, but I don't think that was a surprise to a lot of people.
Not to me. It wasn't.
And it wasn't to me. So that's why I'm going to take them off my surprise list, even though Tim tried to convince us that they should be the most disappointing. It's not that disappointing because when you have no elite wide receivers and your quarterback can't complete passes because the receivers are bad, that's kind of what you expect. So the Packers being bad wasn't a surprise. The Bengals being bad was a very big surprise. I think the Colts need to be moved to that surprise disappointment list because, Kev, they had Matt Ryan. They have Jonathan Taylor, who did his thing, 161 yards in the score. But the pass game was not elite. I think the Colts should have done better against the Texans. They were lucky to even escape with the tie with as much as they were down early.
Yeah, Rodrigo Blankenship missed the game winner. And it just was a tie. Like, trust me, I went through a tie situation last year with my team versus the Lions.
Almost did it again yesterday.
Yeah, I was hoping for a tie. I was like, well, look, if we get a tie, I'll take it, like, long as it isn't a loss. But, a tie just leaves you with even more questions than a loss. In a loss, you like, all right, we know X, Y, and Z, we're behind one. But with a tie to the Houston Texans, a team that everybody in their mind figured like, all right, man, they're going to be one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL, and they jump on you. Basically, what was it at halftime? 13-3 or something like that, and you just come out with a tie. And Matt Ryan was supposed to fix all the things that Carson Wentz had broken with that
Kind
team.
of similar.
Yeah,
It just looked very similar.
I mean, you know what it looked similar as Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now Matty Ice. And Matty Ice, in my opinion, is light years better than both of them dudes. And I think that Matty Ryan is on the decline, obviously, but he's better than those dudes. So I'll have to watch the highlights again or check out like the game when they replay it on NFL Network, because you talk about the drop passes. I didn't see any of those. All I kept seeing was the bottom ticker, and I saw the highlights. But just looking at the box score, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, like you said, over $160 in a touchdown. Matty Ice, 50 pass attempts.
How about
50 pass attempts? He's like 40 years old, man. Get that ball to Jonathan Taylor.
You talk about Carson Wentz, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns.
In your face, Nash.
Just saying.
In your face.
Carson Wentz could end up being a lot like a Kirk Cousins, like a high-volume passer who's going to have impressive stat lines. But on any given Sunday, look out. Like, you know what I mean? I thought Baker's ceiling would be not Carson Wentz, I'm sorry. I thought Baker Mayfield's ceiling would be a Kirk Cousins quarterback, a guy that could throw 300 to 400 yards, that's going to throw 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, but could also throw 2 to 3 picks a game. Like, just that dangerous. You know what I mean? You never know what you're going to get. That could be Carson Wentz with Washington. Look out for Washington in the NFC East, especially now that the Cowboys are pretty much all but done. Dak Prescott out 6 to 8 weeks, could be longer. So let's transition over now to the Cleveland Browns. Kevin.
Oh, the last hour and 30 minutes.
No,
that we ever have to talk about Baker Mayfield.
The chapter's closed. I said yesterday a win-win would be Baker playing well for the Panthers and the Browns winning. I thought Baker and the Panthers were going to beat the Browns yesterday. I thought that they were going to come out just guns a-blazing. I thought you know what I mean? Like, Baker didn't come out hot. He actually had a pretty solid game. It wasn't the best. It wasn't terrible either. It was a Baker Mayfield game. Completed 16 of his 27 pass attempts. All right. He had a touchdown. He did have a pick. Finished with 235 yards on the day. But the run game was non-existent. I thought Baker would have had a better game if Christian McCaffrey was Christian McCaffrey. But you look at, Robbie Anderson. It's funny. Robbie Anderson, Baker has the number 1 wide receiver, and he had no problem getting a 100-yard wide receiver already right away. OBJ was not a number 1 wide receiver. OBJ is a true number 2 or number 3 option. That's why he thrived when he was in LA, because he was the number 3 and number 4 option. When he was the number 1 option in Cleveland, everyone blamed Baker. Look at his bum ass now. Can't even walk. So I care about OBJ.
Wow.
Closing that chapter on Baker and OBJ. Baker was
Stay on topic. Stay on topic.
Yep. Robbie Anderson, 5 receptions, 102 yards in the touchdown. But no, look, Panthers, I don't know. They had a chance to win that at the end. Look, the Browns came away with the win. My problem is the Browns do this every damn time. They get a lead, Kev, and they go into this prevent. It's like they try to keep everything in front, which is ironic considering the late touchdown bomb that Baker threw, that I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Baker is actually going to do this, lead his team down the field to a game-winning to a game-winning drive against his former team when he couldn't convert one game-winning drive a year ago. But Baker Mayfield has to be about as happy as anybody. There's only one person that should be happier than me when it comes to the fact that the Browns kicker, Cade York, freaking bombed it, by the way. 4 of 4 yesterday, a long of 50, his long kick of 58, of course, to seal it. There's only one person happier than I am that Cade York knocked that down, and that's Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield was once again this close to costing the Browns a game.
There's nobody happier than me that this chapter is finally over. This is the absolute last day we have to talk about Baker Mayfield and the Browns and OBJ, because none of them are on the Cleveland Browns anymore. We can focus on the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns won the game, most importantly for them and their fan base. They kept Jacoby Brissett clean. They kept him clean. I don't think it was only sacked twice.
Just once for 9,
okay.
But no. But I thought twice too. In fact, I remember 2, but it must have been counted as him rushing or something. I have no clue.
Okay.
But one time for 9 yards, but he had so much time to throw, and I'm like, it's kind of frustrating. Keep going though. But yeah, he had time to throw. The offensive line was great.
Yeah. They kept him clean, and ultimately the Browns got the dub because of Cade York in that leg. And I mean, it was a bomb. 58 yards, rookie kicker, first game of your career. Everybody knows that the Cleveland Browns haven't won opener since, like, I want to say that Jeff Garcia was the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Who knows how many years ago that was? So that was huge for them. But, it's something that happened yesterday that they really fed Nick Chubb the ball. They gave him the ball. I know a lot of people always like, feed Chubb. Well, he got like 20-plus carries yesterday, and I think he went for like 140, if I'm not mistaken. So they got the dub. And for the Baker Mayfield fans out there, I'm talking to you, Justin, he played as he always plays. There's peaks, there's valleys. There was a valley to start off. Then he had his peak moment. That's him. That's him in a nutshell in his career in his NFL. Every year in his career, he's thrown double-digit interceptions. But just like his rookie year was a peak, valley second year, peak third year, valley fourth year. That means this year is a...
Well, if he's healthy, it's a peak.
Well, he wasn't hurt his second year.
No, he had no O-line his second year. Then he got an O-line his third year, did pretty good. Had an O-line the fourth year. He's hurt. O-line's hurt. He down.
Peaks and valleys. I think
healthy,
that's
not healthy. Healthy, not healthy.
You're going to ride this out to the end of time.
But it is. If we're going to if the crybaby ass Bengals
No. You're not talking to them. You're talking to me. You're talking to me. You're not talking to them.
No.
You're talking to me. We're having a conversation.
I was going to put it away, not bring it out. Hooper, I don't have a Hooper. I don't have a Hooper hater mic. But nonetheless, yes. We'll move on past that. But let's focus. I want the Browns, by the way. I was going to, in my rundown, would you rather have the Steelers offense or the Browns offense? It's no freaking question. But if you'd rather have the Browns quarterback or the Bengals or the Browns quarterback or the Steelers quarterback, I thought it was a lot of the same. The only thing I like about Mitch Trubisky more is that he's a little bit more versatile, but I like the arm of Jacoby Brissett better, but that's not saying much. It's like saying I'm taller than a fifth grader. And it's not really, I'm tall. I'm just taller than not even all fifth graders, by the way. Brissett, there was just a few plays yesterday where short drop back, just, 3-step drop back, just quick. That offensive line, I mean, he's a tall dude, and he looks impressive in that pocket until it's time to throw, and then all of a sudden. But, Amari Cooper yesterday, nothing really cooking for Amari Cooper. I mean, 3 catches, 17 yards, but it was Donovan Peoples-Jones. He did, get 6 catches, 60 yards.
Huge.
He was big. I think his development's going to be key. I think really you're going to see some bigger games from the pass game, I hope. It's not elite, though. This pass game is not even good. But I think it's average, and it's going to be better than what we saw yesterday. Keep in mind, the secondary for the Panthers is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The defense, the linebackers are pretty good for them, too. They have the Jets coming up. I expect a much better performance from Jacoby Brissett. As long as that O-line stays healthy and keeps protecting him, and Nick Chubb does what he does, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, there's a reason that when Kareem Hunt wanted out, the front office said, just chill. You're not going anywhere. Like, we're not sending you anywhere. You're not going anywhere, and you can't afford to hold out. So you're going to play. We're going to pay you, and we're all going to go on and win some games and hopefully keep this interesting until Deshaun gets back. I still don't know what to make of yesterday. They came away with the win. I told you they can't leave wins on the table, and they nearly did, but they were able to hold on. And Cade York, the Browns finally have a freaking kicker that they can rely upon. I mean, all they got to do is get it to the 50. They just got to get to the midfield marker, and they automatically know, they guarantee themselves to have a chance at points when it's all said and done. Like, for one, Evan McPherson, that's my dude. I'm a big Evan McPherson fan. The fact that he said, forget if our quarterback can go an hour after a loss to go hang out at a concert, I'm going to just skip halftime. I'm a kicker. I'm just going to enjoy this halftime show myself. I'm a big Evan Money McPherson fan, but Cade York, I'm not saying he's better than McPherson yet, although he was good yesterday. McPherson, not so good, but that long snapper. But the kickers in the AFC North, man, even the Steelers might have the worst one, and he's still one of the best in the NFL.
Boss.
So, Justin, you obviously have Tucker, Justin Tucker with the Ravens, McPherson last year. He's the reason they got to the Super Bowl, not Joe Burrow, by the way, the kicker. I'm serious. The only reason the kicker mattered is because Joe Burrow led those scoring drives. Joe Burrow led, stalls. I mean, he couldn't convert on third down. That's why he had to bring the kicker out. Stop acting like Joe Burrow led these scoring drives. Joe Burrow couldn't complete drives. That's why he had to come in and kick all those from behind the 40. Well, guess what? That's the Browns offense this year. It's the Joe Burrow offense. We're going to get you to the 40. We're going to stall. Hell no, we're not punting. We're going to bring in our kicker who has a boot, and he freaking kicks it right down the middle. There you go. I love the Joe Burrow offense. The Joe Burrow offense is the Browns offense this year. Get it to the 40, offense stalls out, and let the kicker do the rest. 5 field goals yesterday. good for the kicker. I now know what it's like to be a fan of the Bengals. Watching the Bengals offense stall out at the 40 so the kicker can come save the day, and the good defense, I think we're ready for a Super Bowl run myself, to be quite honest with you.
It always comes back to your love of the Cincinnati Bengals.
I mean, I want our team to be them. And I think yesterday was pretty close. Except, we won and we made our field goals and we're at the top, they're at the bottom. But other than that, relax. We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. 518-1410. No go away.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be mostly cloudy, a high near 70. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy, a high near 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Montgomery County veterans, we're here to serve you. You served your country, and now it's time we served you. You are entitled to many VA benefits, to include compensation, pension, and more. Call 937-225-4801 or online at mcvsc.org.
Whether you need tech for the office, home, or school, Staples is your total tech solution.
A powerful PC that'll help me deliver the perfect presentation.
Staples has you covered.
Tech support to help get my new laptop up and running.
Staples has you covered with tech solutions, services, and accessories. And now save up to $260 on select PCs. Plus, save 25% on Staples Total Support to protect your new or existing PC. Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 9/17, in-store only, limit 2 while supplies last.
Today's Throwback Thought is brought to you by Kentucky Fried Chicken. Let's take some callers. Tony from Houston, any throwbacks for us?
Yeah, hi. I remember when you could get a whole meal for just $6. But now?
You still can with KFC's 2-piece drum and thigh combo. Crispy chicken, mashed potatoes, a biscuit, and a drink for just $6.
Is this an ad?
Thanks, Tony. Order KFC's 2-piece drum and thigh combo on the KFC app for just $6. That's finger licking good. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer, tax extra.
O'Reilly. Trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car. Like 5 quarts of Mobile One Full Synthetic, now just $33.95, plus earn double O Rewards points. Extend the life of your vehicle, improve performance, and protect your engine against sludge and wear with Mobile One Full Synthetic at O'Reilly Auto Parts and O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
TrackPhone wants to know, are you an influencer, a big live streamer? No? Then guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackPhone's $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at trackphone.com.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy inherited properties, vacant homes, rentals, commercial properties, and apartment buildings. Give us a call today and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Who Day Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sports book you can trust. The Betfred Sports app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Ultimate Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Join Cordell Transportation for Truck Driver Appreciation Week with a special hiring event, September 12th through 15th, 2942 Boulder Avenue, Dayton. Free food, refreshments, on-the-spot interviews, and $5,000 sign-on bonus. Online at CordellTransportation.com.
Summer's over, but that joint pain is still there. It's time to do something. Hey, it's Keith Byers. I want you to call QC Kinetics now. You put it off long enough. It's time to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, in your back, and your shoulders and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics is the nation leader in exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. Lots of people here have done this, and they are living life to the fullest, pain-free. Don't assume the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Call QC Kinetics today. Stop putting it off. Call now for a free consultation. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. That's right. Start saving money every month on renting space from others. Just call 877-25-STEEL to see how General Steel can help you save money. Our 50-year structural warranty buildings are custom designed for your needs and save you a ton of money. Call 877-25-STEEL.
Take it from a successful entrepreneur. If you need to expand or start a new business, you need General Steel.
Great team and the competitive pricing is the reason I went with General Steel.
Call 877-25-STEEL now, and you can get any of our popular quick construction structures, including a 40 by 60 foot building or a 50 by 100 clear span building fast and easy. Call 877-25-STEEL. That's 877-257-8335. 877-25-STEEL.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Well, there's one coach that Marcus Freeman should be happy about, and that's Scott Frost, because I think that's taking all the attention away from all the criticisms that are going around to coaches right now. But Scott Frost becomes the first college head coach to go down. I remember we did our bold predictions all the way back in the preseason 2 weeks ago. Kev Nash and I, before the season, like most sports talk hosts, whether it's TV or radio, we always give out our hot takes on what our bold predictions for the upcoming season will be. And one of mine is saying Scott Frost would be fired was not a hot take. I said there was no chance in hell he would make it to the end of the season. That was my bold prediction. So I just thought that, look, you got to understand something. Unless you're Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, or Penn State, and Wisconsin being just on the outside looking in, there's only 4 programs in the Big Ten that I think have a legitimate opportunity to be playoff and championship contenders. I'm not saying that the rest should just close up shop, but I'm just saying the rest, there's a lot that needs to be done before those schools can be in that position. That's just the reality of it. That's why every year we talk about a path, like Purdue, for instance. Purdue this year, they avoided Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State. All they had to do was get past Penn State, and they would have the easiest schedule the rest of the way, and they honestly could have found themselves undefeated and in the Big Ten championship game going up against Ohio State, and maybe in a position where they're a one-loss Purdue team, maybe playing in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, which is huge for that brand. That's how Purdue is built. Purdue's not built to be a playoff team. They're not built, I shouldn't say a team. They're not built to be a playoff program. They're not built to be an elite program, at least not now. So many things have to happen for something like that to happen to one of those programs. Nebraska is one of them. So for Nebraska, for us to say, and Kev, one of his hot takes was that they would have been is that the one you picked to be a playoff team?
No, I picked them to make it to the Big Ten championship game. Yeah.
Which is a realistic goal for a program like that, especially playing on that side. But at the same time, there wasn't enough momentum in the offseason as far as recruiting is concerned for anyone to feel good about Scott Frost's future in Nebraska. I thought for sure he would get to the middle of the Big Ten schedule. He would lose a couple of his big games and be fired before the end of the year. I had no clue, Kev, that he was going to be let go at the very earliest 3 games in, and that's exactly where we sit right now. Was it on the Keith Byers show earlier today? A source close to him said that they were ready to fire him on the way back from Dublin, but a former coach there basically said, he's one of us. We got to give him one more chance. Well, they lived true to their word because boosters wanted him gone. Coaches wanted him gone. The boosters wanted him gone. The ADs wanted him gone. They gave him that one more shot, and that one more shot came at the expense of losing in horrible, embarrassing fashion the way they did this past weekend ahead of their game with Oklahoma, Kev.
Right.
You said on yesterday's show when you filled in for Byers on the Sunday morning tailgate that you would be shocked if he was still employed after they lose to Oklahoma. Well, you don't have to be shocked. He's not even employed heading into Oklahoma. I'm surprised he's fired after this game. I thought that what you said would be more accurate after the Oklahoma game, but there's not many times where my bold predictions come true, but this one is true. 3 games in, Scott Frost is unemployed.
Out of there. He's out the paint. And you know what? We were talking about this during the break about programs and, potential people that could fill the void at Nebraska and bring a program from the ashes back. Look, man, it's as simple as this. You got to have the Joes. And I slowly came over to that light of day. I've always said that Jim Tressel was a better coach than Urban Meyer. But guess what? Urban Meyer is a better recruiter. So you got to have the Jimmies and the Joes. You can have the greatest offensive mind in the world, and you have me playing running back. Guess what's going to happen? I'm going to get blown up and fumble. That's what's going to happen if they got better Jimmies and Joes over there. So for that matter, they don't have the Jimmies and Joes in Nebraska. They don't recruit the state of Texas anymore because they're not in the Big 12 anymore. They don't recruit the state of Florida. They don't recruit the state of California. They don't recruit the state of Ohio. They don't recruit the state of Georgia. That's it. You don't get guys from those states, you're not going to be good. It's as simple as that. This is not the days of 1994 where you can go down to Florida and get Tommy Frazier. This is not 1996 where you can go to California and get a running back. You know what I'm saying? You can go get Ahmad Green. Like, those days are over, dude. It's over because there's a ton of other programs that they have to get to before they get to you. You're in the middle of America, the middle of United States, nowhere, USA. And the fact is, they're going to have to bring in somebody that's going to be able to recruit. And now that we have this thing called NIL and all that, you got to look at the places like Houston. You got to look at all the other places that are making sure they're giving their athletes a lot of money. I'm sure the great people in Nebraska and their boosters got a lot of money to spend because they want their program to be good again. But they're going to have to do a lot to get those Jimmies and Joes again, man. They're going to have to do a ton. Like Tommy Frazier, dude, he was like, I know there's a little bit before your time, but they ran a triple option with Tom Osborne and everything like that. He was one of the best quarterbacks to come out of the state of Florida back in the 90s and everything like that. There were guys of Peter Warwick that actually considered going to Nebraska, like that caliber of player. Do we even hear about a top tier athlete going to Nebraska or even considering Nebraska as a place to go play college football? I haven't heard it in years, man. So they're going to continue to get the 3 stars and maybe some 4-star guys out there, but you need elite. And I don't want to dumb everything down to star ratings, but you need the talent. And it's obviously they don't have enough talent on there to get them to where they want to be. And one thing about Scott Frost is I know he can coach. I know this for a fact because what he was able to do at Oregon, all the cool things that are going on with your favorite quarterback in the league from the Chargers, drawing a blank, Justin Herbert. He was a part of that. He helped recruit him, helped develop him. Goes down to UCF. They were a terrible football team. They went 8-8, and then they went undefeated. So the ability to do that, the game of football. I think he will bounce back and go to a smaller level program in a place where you can get better talent and work his way back up to the Power 5. It's just sad because you and I talk about this, like with Penny Hardaway coaching at his alma mater, with Juwan Howard coaching at his alma mater, and then there is the flip side to this situation where Georgetown, Anthony Grant at UD. There is a situation where Hey, man, yeah, we appreciate everything you did for us as a player, but as a coach, we're going to have to wash our hands with you, and that's what happened with him in Nebraska.
Yeah, but when you have success, though, there's no better feeling than being a former great player that comes back to lead your alma mater. That's why when Anthony Grant, had Dayton as the number 3 team in the country, can you imagine? And by the way, that will always go down as one of the most special seasons in Dayton Flyers basketball history. But can you imagine if Anthony Grant, if we had an NCAA tournament that year, if he did lead him, I won't even go as all the way far to say to get him to a national championship, but imagine UD in the Final Four. And Anthony Grant, former player, played for UD, of course, and now is leading them as the coach to a Final Four that year. That would have just been amazing. They have high expectations this year, but there's always something special about a former player coaching your team, but it always makes me nervous because, Anthony Grant, before coming to UD, will always have those memories of playing at UD and how special it was. But we all know it's rare for a coach's time to end on good terms because unless Anthony Grant coaches here for the next 20 years and retires, and that means he gets to the next 20 years because he's constantly winning on the recruiting trail as well. Unless that happens, most likely, Kev, Anthony Grant, all his great memories will be washed away of his lasting memory being fired from UD. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. My point is that always seems to be what most likely will happen because look at all around. Scott Frost had all the greatest memories in the world of playing at Nebraska, right?
Won the Natty.
Comes back. And now every time he looks at Nebraska, Kev, that's not the team he won a title with. That's the team that fired him. You know what I mean? Like that stinks. I feel for Scott Frost. I know I was calling that he wouldn't make it to the end of the year, but there just wasn't enough positive momentum. You also brought up the fact that, players don't want to go play at Nebraska. Well, I don't know of too many elite players in LA and Texas that dream of one day growing up to go play college football in Kentucky, but that's what Stoops is doing over there in Kentucky. I don't think it's so much the fact that it's Nebraska. I think it just has much more to do with the fact you haven't found the right person because it's not always about the place, Kev. How many coaches have been circulating through USC since Pete Carroll that have not been able to find the right talking points to convince people that, hey, have you heard of Los Angeles? It's a really cool city. You're really going to like it. You want to come play in Los Angeles? If it had everything to do with that, Kev, I think USC would always be an elite program regardless of the coach. So I understand what you're saying. I just think it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it's Nebraska. I think it has everything to do with they have just yet to find someone who pushes the right buttons out on that recruiting trail. We're seeing basketball teams have success going the former player route. I don't think that's always going to be the case. It's good. We're good. I don't think that's always going to be the case in football right away. But sometimes going younger in basketball has seemed to help some programs. It leaves you vulnerable, but I think it helps you on the recruiting trail. Nebraska has to think outside the box here. They have to hit a slam dunk hire because honestly, I'm worried, Kev, unless it is a big name like Urban Meyer, which it won't be, you're not going to hire anyone better than Scott Frost. And what I mean by that is Scott Frost is a really good football coach, as you talked about. He was great at UCF. I'm just saying the chances of them finding someone above him, I don't know. Where was that person before Scott Frost? So we'll see what ends up happening. But my favorite guy, Matt Campbell, of course, he's rumored to be there right at the top.
He'll be a fool to go there.
I'm not a Matt Campbell dude, but if Matt can't, but why would he? If you can coach, Kev, you go to the Big Ten, you don't have to play Ohio State every year. You don't have to play Penn State and Michigan every year. Nebraska is actually a safer job. You're in a bigger conference. Now, it just depends where USC goes in the Big Ten. But it's just one of those, why do you say that though, Kev? Because I feel like that's actually a safe, proven power in the Big Ten. Not in the Big Ten. They're in the Big Ten now, but a proven
power in the Big 12.
But it doesn't matter because if you go there and you get the players, you're set. Like it's same thing at USC. All of a sudden, it's not like these players have all discovered Los Angeles. It's that they discovered Lincoln Riley. I think you got to discover the coach. I think the coach is the most important thing. The recruiter is the most important thing. That's why I can't get on board with that.
So the point about Matt Campbell, is he a recruiter? Because he's.
By the way, I'm not advocating for Matt Campbell.
No, I'm just saying he's a developer. He's a developer, and I don't think at a program like Nebraska you're going to allow you the time to develop. I just did a little quick run through their roster. 4 dudes from the state of Texas. 4 dudes from Texas. That's laughable. 5 dudes from Florida, 5 dudes from Georgia.
Yep.
That's not going to get it done, man.
I don't. Patterson?
Maybe. I mean, he has a lot of recruiting ties to Florida, obviously coaching at TCU. Right now, he's the defensive coordinator at Texas. That's potentially it. but they got to do something. They got to do something to move the needle. That will move it because he's a guy that develops and can coach his butt off and has the connections. He may go ahead and get you a 3-star running back and see something in him and make him a cornerback, and he turns into an all-pro. Like some of the guys that he was developing at TCU, he just switched them positions because he saw something in them. Obviously, they played in the Rose Bowl, right? When Andy Dalton was there. Like, so I mean, if that's the route they want to go, that would be more of a draw for me just because I'm a college football nut. I wouldn't mind that type of hire. But like for a young and up and coming coach, a guy that hasn't been a head coach before, we were throwing out some names, some potential guys out there. Not my first gig. Not my first gig. I know it'll be very tempting, but I wouldn't do it my first gig.
And I don't blame programs for not being patient. And the reason is because coaches are proving you don't have to be patient to turn things around. Look at the noise Miami's making already. Now, technically, they haven't won anything yet. But you know what? They've won right off the bat, momentum on the recruiting trail. Scott Frost, at no point at his time at Nebraska, like usually when you get a new big-name coach, that your brand looks sexier on the recruiting trail. In Nebraska, I read the article earlier today. It said, like, Nebraska slowed a slight peak into the top 10 3 years ago when he first initially took over. There was a slight peak, and then after that, it just fell off. He never took advantage of that momentum. That program never gained momentum of getting him. But you look at USC. USC's not Nebraska. I get that. But, like, Lincoln Riley gets there. Look how different it just looks already. Look how different Ohio State looked the second Urban Meyer got there. Look how different, as a better, more realistic example for Nebraska is Michigan State. Mel Tucker, I don't think Michigan State's as successful if they go get, obviously, the dude from Cincinnati, Fickle. Mel Tucker gets there and says, you know what? I'm not going to go win on the recruiting trail in high school because I'm taking over so late. I'm just going to kick ass in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
The transfer portal is why you don't get as long to build teams anymore, because it used to just be you have to go the high school route and you need 2 or 3 years for a recruiting class to start to settle in. Now, you need to be able to make a splash in the recruiting, the transfer portal, and then fill it in with developing players over the years. I just think that's why Nebraska has a shot to be effective right off the bat. They just have to go get that Mel Tucker. I love Mel Tucker. What he's doing at Michigan State, it's not being talked about enough. I know he hasn't won anything significant yet, but the fact that that program was supposed to be a dumpster fire for 2 or 3 years, we were just now supposed to start seeing things slightly turn around. Mel Tucker made an instant impact the second he took over, and I think that that's the expectations for Nebraska, whoever they hire. And it doesn't matter if they're a no-name or a big name. Deion Sanders. Someone said, what about Deion Sanders? I don't think Deion Sanders is a Nebraska guy. Is he going to take over Nebraska? Maybe he does.
It's a possibility.
Maybe he does. They'll open up the wallet, because you know what happens when boosters are willing to kick out their own?
You can get the Jimmys and Joes. That's what it's
Nebraska
about.
Would be the cool spot to go play, because Deion's a freaking beast.
Yeah, I do think for 1 second that his son, who was a 4-star recruit, was going to stay there if his dad isn't there, being his head coach. You think that especially with the transfer portal, all the 4-star and 5-star dudes that he got to go to Jackson State, they're going to hit the portal and go there. And it could be. It could be. So let me ask you this before we go to break. What is a quote-unquote fair amount of time to give a head coach?
Head coach as far as what
benchmarks? To turn it around.
What's turning it? I'm not trying to be argumentative.
No. Like, so, all right.
For Nebraska, I say 2 years, because you're in the opposite. You're not playing against Ohio State, Penn State every year.
Okay.
So I'd say 2 years.
So you're definitely saying it just matters from team to team.
And I'd say the benchmark being Big Ten championship. Now that could change. That's going to change soon, because I think they're going to go away from divisions, or maybe they just start stacking the West again. The reason, so Shaw said he thinks Auburn is where Deion will go. Well, for one, you know why Nebraska is a sneaky good job? Is because you could be in the Big Ten title game every year. You could be undefeated every year heading into the Big Ten title game. You could still lose to Ohio State in the title game and be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Wisconsin hasn't taken advantage of it yet. Wisconsin has never been able to master that, as good as a program as they've been. Kev, you know Nebraska, I think, is a sleeping giant. I think that they could easily be a Georgia-type program. Georgia dominates all season long. Why? Because they don't have to play Alabama until the SEC title game. That's why I think Nebraska is more interesting than an Auburn, where you're going to have to go get your brains beat in every week and not even get to the SEC title game. It's where Nebraska I think you could turn it around quicker. I think you could be in the Big Ten title game in 2 years at Nebraska just because you play on the opposite side of Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State. That's all. 518-1410. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code IMPACT at checkout. That's harrys.com, code IMPACT. Enjoy.
Hi, Tom Bodette here. Thinking about road tripping to the family reunion. Potato salad, doing battle with the sun, dog crawling all over the cousins, and nothing brings us closer than someone squished in the middle seat. Well, it's a good thing Motel 6 has clean, comfortable rooms at a great low rate. They'll get you out of that minivan so the kids can get all spiffed up before Grandma starts pinching their cheeks. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
The NFL season is here, and you can get in on all the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. To celebrate the best time of year, DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at a $1 million top prize during Week 1. If you haven't tried DraftKings yet, now is the time. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Nothing adds to the excitement of watching the game quite like having a free shot at a huge cash prize. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code WING1410. For a limited time, new customers get a free shot at a $1 million top prize during Week 1. Enter code WING1410 only at DraftKings. the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is in shape for the season with the experts and community trusted service that you can rely on. From William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning, we're offering exclusive savings opportunities on the new Lennox system. Call William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning at 937-222-8638 today, or visit us online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ohio license number 14911.
Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks are so good. Some are saying they're better than their moms. Perfectly crispy, perfectly golden brown. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today and see if they're better than your mom's.
Oktoberfest at Milano's has begun. We're serving our once-a-year favorites like schnitzel sandwiches and German pizza. Get it to go or stay for the games with NFL Sunday Ticket. See you at Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps for big screen football.
You can test drive your future career at RTA's interactive hiring event, September 27th at UD Arena. Candidates can get behind the wheel of RTA's big bus or small non-CDL bus to get a feel for what it's like to be an RTA driver. RTA offers great benefits, including state retirement, medical, dental, and paid time off. Join us September 27th at UD Arena from 7 a.m. to noon or 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. RTA, it's not just a job, it's a career. Find more info at iRideRTA.org.
Guys, are you getting up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? As we get older, so do our prostates, and that can mean urinary problems that affect our sleep and quality of life. Life is better outside the bathroom. Real Health's Prostate Complete can help you relieve those annoying and painful prostate symptoms. Available at Walmart or visit realhealth.com for more information and to order yours today. Try it risk-free with our 120-day money-back guarantee. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
Dell Technologies semi-annual sale has arrived. Save big on PCs with Windows 11 Pro. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
At the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission, we help veterans and their dependents navigate the process of applying for benefits administered by the VA. We can assist with VA claims, pensions, and a variety of benefits, including emergency financial assistance, transportation, and legal services. If you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, a wide range of services may be available to you, always at no cost to the veteran. We are honored and proud to serve all Miami Valley veterans. Contact us today at 937-225-4801.
Join Cordell Transportation for Truck Driver Appreciation Week with a special hiring event, September 12th through 15th, 2942 Boulder Avenue, Dayton. Free food, refreshments, on-the-spot interviews, and $5,000 sign-on bonus. Online at CordellTransportation.com.
Dell's semi-annual sale has arrived with limited-time deals for you. Save big on our latest computers with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring solution lets you attract candidates and even conduct virtual interviews. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy.
Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 10/1. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
Dell Technologies' semi-annual sale has arrived, and it's time to upgrade to the latest business technology. Save big on laptops and desktops with Windows 11 Pro. Plus, get amazing deals on server, storage, and cloud solutions, as well as top work accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL for special business offers during our semi-annual sale.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code IMPACT at checkout. That's harrys.com, code IMPACT. Enjoy!
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
I always love to take a chance to point out that the Browns won and the Bengals lost yesterday. Week 1 NFL action. Kevin Nash's Steelers also won. So, there's that.
Appreciate you.
Like I said on Friday, I never thought I would live in the day and age where predicting a Steelers win over the Bengals was a hot take. But yet,
Sizzling hot.
It was sizzling hot. I mean, I've said some outlandish things in the past that got less of a reaction than you picking the Steelers to beat the Bengals this past week. And you would have thought I said Santa's not real or something. I mean, my goodness. Like, you guys, it is what it is. It's okay. You guys can tell me I'm wrong. You can admit you were wrong. I'm always the bigger person to admit when I'm wrong, which isn't a lie, by the way. That's not true. We did a whole Kinner was wrong segment a year ago.
A whole 365 days ago. Okay.
It's the last time I was wrong, but I mean, wrong's wrong. 518-1410. By the way, calls are coming in. So we'll go ahead and get to your calls coming up here in just a few moments. Before we were talking about Scott Frost, of course, being fired 3 games in to his, to the 2022 season when it comes to, of course, Nebraska, and talking about, what jobs, what potential coaching candidates are out there for that. Look, I don't think it's going to be a sexy hire. Matt Campbell from Iowa State is being thrown out there. Mark Stoops from Kentucky. Mark Stoops from Kentucky makes the most sense. Look, we were talking about Luke Fickell during the commercial break. Everyone talks so much about Cincinnati's jump to the Big 12 and the Power 5 scene and, having a chance to be a regular in the college football playoff. And they may now because of the fact that it's expanding to 12. If you think that Ohio State is the Bearcats' biggest threat and you think that the Bearcats are Ohio State's threat recruiting-wise, that's not, no one thinks that. But people do think that, oh man, Cincinnati, they can now turn their attention towards the Buckeyes and the Buckeyes have nothing to do with the Bearcats. They will never have anything to do with the Bearcats. The biggest competition that the Bearcats have is Kentucky football. And Kentucky football is in the top 10 right now. Kentucky football is challenging Coach Calipari's whole notion that, hey, this is a basketball school, and it is a basketball school, but good for Kentucky proving that whole stupid notion anyways, that there's basketball schools and football schools. You mean to tell me that Duke football would never want to win a national championship in football just because of everything Coach K did there? Give me a break. You think that at some point, if Kentucky's good enough to make the playoff, you think at some point they're going to get to the playoff and the committee's going to be like, well, we can't let Kentucky in the playoff, folks, because well, they're a basketball school. No, if they're good enough to make the playoff, they're going to make the playoff. If they're good enough to win a title, they'll win a title. They're not good enough, but you see my point. That's Cincinnati's biggest threat when it's all said and done. To me, if Mark Stoops left Kentucky to take this Nebraska job, that's a huge win for Luke Fickell and the Bearcats heading in, because how many coaches did Kentucky have to go through before they finally found one that was starting to work? I think Mark Stoops passed Bear Bryant, by the way, as Kentucky's winningest football coach. I'm sorry. So interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, the teams that UC is recruiting up against, especially for talent in the state of Ohio, is Kentucky and Michigan State. So if Stoops goes to Nebraska, that only helps the Bearcats out because, hey, that's one less team we got to go up against recruiting wise with. So that would be awesome. So Stoops, go ahead, go to Nebraska.
So we'll see what happens there. And by the way, Scott Frost is another example of why I'm glad that we have seen him stay at Cincinnati, because just because you have success at Cincinnati or just because you have success at UCF, it doesn't mean that you're going to match that same success or surpass it at the next school. You know why Scott Frost was dominant during his time at UCF? It's because everything was perfectly in place. You know why Cincinnati's thriving under Luke Fickell? Luke Fickell's a good coach, yes, but it's because everything is perfectly set in place. All the stars have perfectly aligned. You want to know the toughest thing as a coach to do is to get all those stars in line, is to get all your perfect coaching staff in place, to get everything on board. That's the toughest thing. Scott Frost couldn't replicate what he did at UCF because once he got to Nebraska, nothing was in place. Nothing was comfortable. If Nebraska makes this hire, whoever they bring in, and the stars aligned and everything fits in perfectly, then great. They thought that was the case with Scott Frost. But Luke Fickell, just because it works at Cincinnati does not mean it's going to work elsewhere. Scott Frost is living proof of that. But I know that Urban Meyer, Bowling Green, moved up to Utah, then to Florida, then to Ohio State. He had success everywhere he went, but not everyone is Urban Meyer. Scott Frost isn't Urban Meyer. Luke Fickell's not Urban Meyer, but Luke Fickell could be the best version of Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. I just hope that when Luke Fickell sits back and sees things like this, that he realizes that sometimes the grass isn't always greener. The money may not be as heavy, but it's just as green, and we could have just as much success here, which could lead to more money, especially than moving into the Power 5. I just hope Luke Fickell sticks around at Cincinnati for quite some time, because Scott Frost is a prime example of why bigger is not always better when it comes to that next big job opportunity.
And it's another thing that when you're at a program like UC where you're allowed to build up, Luke Fickell was taking over a program that was in the dumps. So they had the opportunity to build up. When you're taking over a storied program like a Nebraska, they want instant gratification. They want to see it in the wins and loss columns like that. But at a program like UC, where he was taking over for Tommy Tuberville, he had to build that thing back up, and they allowed him that time to do so. So, but you're at a big program like that, they're not going to give you that type of time, And we talked about this situation yesterday a little bit out at Frickers about the Marcus Freeman situation in Nebraska and Notre Dame, with them losing 3 games in a row dating back to the bowl game. And my whole thing was, hey man, they're not going to continue to allow this, so to speak. You go back to the guys like Tyrone Willingham. He got 3 years. They weren't winning to their standard, and they were out of there. But even even if the program hasn't been winning at that clip since the 1990s when Lou Holtz was there, they still have those expectations. So it don't matter if they haven't been doing that over X amount of years. They're just going to keep rolling out a new coach until they find the coach that is going to get them those wins, no matter what. So you look at Nebraska, they got a lot of work to do, and a lot of work to do starts with finding a head coach, and then that head coach finding the coaching staff, and that coaching staff going out to get the talent.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Scott Frost out 3 games into the 2022 season, and we'll see what Nebraska does from there. I'm not a big Nebraska football fan, but I am fascinated by the program because I think that there is something there. I think that the right buttons need to be pushed. And if those buttons are pushed, Nebraska has the potential to be Georgia-like. And what I mean by that is Georgia is a dominant program, but I think that the reason that Georgia has been able to breathe and be that dominant program that they develop into under Kirby Smart is because the way that the divisions have aligned in the SEC. Georgia does not play Alabama every year. Unless they technically do. They play them every year, either in the playoff or in the SEC title game, sometimes both, or the national title game like last year. The point is that if you could avoid the heavy hitters, if you could avoid the Ohio States, Penn States, Michigan States, and Michigan, and get to the Big Ten title game undefeated, you could even, as Georgia has proven, afford to lose in the title game and still get the benefit of the doubt for the college football playoff. That's why I think Nebraska is an important program. That's why I find USC to be fascinating if they get added over to the Big Ten West, if that's the case, because of that very reason. I just think if Nebraska, they are in a very interesting spot here because I think this hire, every hire is important, but none more important than this one right here, because I think Nebraska has that opportunity to be Georgia-like or Georgia-light, if you will, where they could be dominant. They could win all the games in the regular season and be a top 10 team come Big Ten title time, which is a win for the Buckeyes as well, for whoever they play in that. Speaking of that, the Buckeyes will get to their win this past weekend and look ahead to Toledo. We now know, by the way, they had the night game. 4 night games and 3 night games in 4 weeks. Not bad for the Buckeyes. Ohio State opened up under the lights, of course, against Notre Dame. They knocked the lights out, of course, of Arkansas State. They'll play under the lights this Saturday against Toledo. We now know the kickoff time for Ohio State and for, of course, Wisconsin coming up here in a few weeks, a game that is worthy of being under the lights, or at least it was until Wisconsin shot themselves in the foot, losing this past weekend, Kev, as everyone always does in the Big Ten before Ohio State. Very frustrating, but 3 night games in 4 weeks, not bad.
Not bad at all. It's media night going down September 24th with Wisconsin 7:30 kickoff. I know 2 people that are in the media. Do you know 2 people that are in the media that could
potentially in the media that won't be there?
Yeah. What a time to schedule a vacation, hey? But in all seriousness, you talk about that Wisconsin game, man. Grant Mertz, 5-star quarterback. He's just not a good quarterback. The offensive line is there. The running game is there. Jim Leonard dialing up that defense for years has been good. Washington State, with their transfer quarterback, came in there and won. And it all rests on Grant Mertz. And Ohio State is going to bludgeon them because Grant Mertz is not a good quarterback.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Ohio State former quarterback Quinn Ewers, heck of a performance against Alabama before being knocked out at the end of the first quarter. I'm convinced if Texas has Quinn Ewers that they beat Alabama in week 2 and are 2-0. Texas with the loss, Kev, they were not in the top 25 heading into Alabama. They lose to Alabama, and with the loss, they then get bumped in to the top 25. They're number 21 in the country. Byers is an official top 25 voter. He has them at number, I think he said 16, I believe. He moved them there. But Texas looked legitimate. Their defense looked legitimate against a powerhouse Alabama team. And it's not often you see legit defense in college football. I think that's why they're getting a lot of the benefit of the doubt. That's going to bode well for them as they have Oklahoma coming up around the corner. Keep in mind, this is a very manageable schedule. They're without Quinn Ewers for up to 6 games. So that would put them they'll be without University, Texas, San Antonio, no biggie. Texas Tech, West Virginia, that's 3 games. Oklahoma, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, not having Quinn Ewers for those games is a big deal. But, man, let's say they somehow miraculously find themselves one loss, with only 1 loss through that gauntlet before they get Quinn Ewers back. I think Texas could be a sneaky college football playoff contender when it's all said and done. If they go on to represent, to be in the Big 12 title game and maybe win it all, the committee would forgive them. You know the committee would put them in the playoff if they're Big 12 champs, with their only loss being against Alabama after losing Quinn Ewers, who would have had them in position to win that game had he been healthy. I'm on the Quinn Ewers train right now. I'm hoping he comes back, and when he comes back, there's meaningful games to be played because I think he balled out, and it's unfortunate that he got hurt the way he did at the end of that first quarter.
Yeah, man, driven into the ground, shoulder situation going on with him, and collarbone, all types of football action. But, you look at Texas, on paper, we're looking at it. And just like we did with Notre Dame, we looked at it, oh, man, they played good against Ohio State, and then Marshall came to town.
Yep.
What college football coaches have a hard time doing is keeping that same intensity going week after week, week after week. We all know you're going to get up for Ohio State. We know you're going to get up for Alabama. We know that. Are you going to get up for Marshall? Are you going to get up for University of San Antonio, Texas? Are you going to get up for those? Or are you going to let what happened to Notre Dame happen to you? You know what I'm saying? So I always like those upsets to happen at noon when my team has a 7:30 kick. So coach can point to that. Be like, hey, don't end up like them. You saw what just happened, right? So let's dial in. Let's focus. Let's play football. Let's be physical and everything like that. Let's not just go through the motions, because that's how you get caught with your pants down and everything like that.
See, that's interesting. I've talked to coaches before, basketball coaches, and with March Madness, when sometimes the higher seeds hate playing later in the day, because when they see that some of the smaller schools have upset teams, they get that, what do you call it?
Lemon booty.
They get lemon booty because they see that the upset
It's
hysteria
happening.
is in the air. So when teams see, like in March Madness, when the higher seeds, when
I
they
never thought of
see-
it like that.
When they see the mid-major schools knock off the powerhouses, and they're like, man, if that happened to Duke, then that could happen to us. So sometimes they like that earlier time slot because
Fair.
to them, they're the best team heading into that. But then when you start to see, oh man, we could be vulnerable. What if we come out flat like that? What if our shots aren't falling? What if this? What if that? What if one of their players gets hot? Same scenario that could always happen at noon, but like now you start seeing it. Before, you don't visualize losing to a team like a mid-major team. Now you've seen it. Now you're a little uncomfortable. I see what you're saying, but I've always heard the opposite from coaches when it comes to the psyche of it. A lot of
That's a good
mid-major
point.
coaches I've talked to, they don't like the 1 o'clock or the noon tip-offs for March Madness. They kind of like going up against those teams later in the day because they're a little bit more vulnerable. It's kind of interesting.
Really?
The psyche
Okay.
of it.
That's a good
So,
point. That's a good point. I will say this about basketball. I think we see upsets in basketball far more because I don't necessarily okay, for instance, Ben Simmons, obviously he's an elite talent, supreme athlete, but there is a person out there that can just knock down shots left and right. Not an athletic bone in his body, dribble a little bit, hit a jumper. In a college basketball setting, he gets hot and drops 30. It don't matter what you're going to do. So I think upsets are more prevalent in college basketball, but I definitely understand that. And I've never even thought of it that way. But that makes
Seeing
sense.
is believing.
Seeing, you absolutely right. It gets that thoughts get put in your head. Like if you're an outfielder, don't drop it. I dropped it. No, the thought process is, all right, I'm about to catch this. Not
once you
don't.
drop one, yeah.
The next one happens. That's a great point. I never even thought of it like that.
So I don't know. I would love to see the timing over the weekend of the kickoff times for those games. Like Notre Dame, what time did that game kick off? 3:30. Wisconsin was a nooner.
Nooners.
I don't think that really matters necessarily in this lineup, but I do think once you see it, like, so next week, it's on the flip side, watching mid-majors win makes them believe even more too.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of one of those types of things.
That's
but
a good point. I like that.
Dylan Shaver on Facebook says, I think A&M's loss this week to Appalachian State is due to players looking ahead to Miami this weekend. Yes, I saw someone today say that there's an SEC bias because Texas A&M was ranked number 24. They lost to Appalachian State. The person that tweeted that had an entire thread of how great Appalachian State is, but then they want Michigan, or they want Texas A&M basically kicked out of college football for losing to them. You can't prop up one team and give them their flowers, all while saying that the other team should be ashamed for losing to that team. Texas A&M should not lose to Appalachian State. Texas A&M is still a good football team. They're still a top 25 team, not a top 10 team. They should move back in the rankings. I have no problem with them staying in the top 25. They were in the top 25 for a reason. One game shouldn't knock them out. They didn't get blown out. Not a good loss by any means, but this isn't the Appalachian State team that beat Michigan 20 years ago or whenever it was. 15 years ago. If Ohio State would lose to Cincinnati, we would say, man, you shouldn't lose to Cincinnati, but it wouldn't be the worst loss in the history of the world. Appalachian State to Texas A&M, that was not the worst loss in the history of the world. It's an embarrassing loss. You still shouldn't happen, but to sit there and act like, oh my gosh, Jimbo should be fired for this. No, I disagree. I know you're not a big Jimbo dude.
No, I like Jimbo, but the eyes are starting to circle. The eyes are starting to circle. People are starting to see the same things that I saw when he was coaching at Florida State.
Championships?
No, he only won one championship.
No matter. Texas A&M just wants one. They
Before I love to talk. But no, the thing is, like with Jimbo's offense, I mean, if you haven't had 1,000-yard receiver since 2014, that's a problem. If your offense isn't scoring over 28 points in college football today and you're supposed to be an offensive savant, that's a problem. And if Appalachian State comes to you and is the more physical team, that's a problem. And that's why I thought it was a big problem that Marshall came to Notre Dame and was more physical. Like, them scoring points is fine, but being able to run the ball, that's a physical activity. Not saying like, oh man, we're about to run this spread offense and chuck the ball all over the field and, look for matchups and everything like that. No, we're lining up and we're going to run the ball down your throat. For me, that's alarming. And then on the flip side, you were unable to be physical and just simply turn it and hand it off because you are bigger, stronger. Your weight room is this. You paid them $1.5 million to fund their entire athletic program. If you got $1.5 million just to give away, what are you bringing in every single week? So those are the biggest problems. If I'm Notre Dame and Texas A&M, like, wait, we can't just turn and hand it off and just get 5-yard chunks at a time and just move down the field because our passing game isn't clicking. The other teams that came to them were more physical. So that is definitely a coaching flaw, not only on Jimbo's part, but on Marcus Freeman's part as well.
I get that. It's one of those where it's kind of like in March Madness. And by the way, I just spent so much time saying upsets don't happen in college football, and we just have to leave them in one day. So egg on my face. But it's one of those where in March Madness, when a 1 seed, it doesn't happen. It's only happened once. But like if a 2 seed loses to the 15 or whatever, we don't actually think that 15 is better than that 2. Appalachian State's not better than Texas A&M. Marshall's definitely not better than Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not that good either. But I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those where it's an upset. That's why someone tweeted at me over the weekend, wow, you're an idiot. Only not one of your upsets is going to come to fruition today. And I'm like, well, okay, so that means the teams that were supposed to win won. All right, well, okay, sorry that happened. I don't know what you want me to say to that. They're upsets. That's what happened over the weekend. They're upsets. They weren't supposed to happen, and they probably wouldn't happen again if they played 10 more straight times with these exact same rosters at the exact same time on a Saturday. So I get what you're saying. It's okay to say it's inexcusable to lose to them, but I don't think it changes who they are as programs. It could change who they are mentally moving forward, but we'll see. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We still didn't get into the Buckeyes. I want to definitely get into some Ohio State coming up on the other side. But how about this? I guess last year at this point, Kev, 2 weeks into the season, Ohio State's defense allowed 9 touchdowns in the first 2 games of last season. Ohio State's defense has only allowed 1 touchdown in the first 2 games of this season. Is it more of going up against 2 subpar offensive teams, or is the defense drastically better? I'm curious Buckeyes fans' thoughts as they watch this team, because what's the theme of this segment? Seeing is believing. What have you seen? We'll talk about that when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be mostly cloudy, a high near 70. Tonight's going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy, a high near 73. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
MVP's bonus days are back at Lowe's. Right now, get a special BOGO offer from Bosch. Buy a select Bosch 18-volt Bear tool. Get a battery free. Shop savings on all of our top pro items. Plus, MVPs earn up to 3 times bonus points on select products. Join today and redeem points for products designed to level up your business. Don't miss MVP's bonus days, happening now at Lowe's. Pricing and offers subject to change at any time. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 9/23.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
If you turn 65 this year, you are eligible for Medicare. To help you understand your choices and possibility of financial assistance, the Ohio Department of Insurance is holding Welcome to Medicare events across the state. So join us at a free event near you. Make sure your plan suits your budget and your needs. For more information, contact the Ohio Department of Insurance at 1-800-686-1578 or go online at insurance.ohio.gov.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At McAfee, they're more than just an air temperature company. They're an air quality company. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
Whether you need tech for the office, home, or school, Staples is your total tech solution.
A powerful PC that'll help me deliver the perfect presentation.
Staples has you covered.
Tech support to help get my new laptop up and running.
Staples has you covered with tech solutions, services, and accessories. And now save up to $260 on select PCs. Plus, save 25% on Staples Total Support to protect your new or existing PC. Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 9/17, in-store only, limit 2 while supplies last.
It's time for frickin' football. Frickers has a way to make this the winning season. Try a frickin' chicken taco, grilled chicken taco, or Mississippi barbecue taco for a limited time. Enjoy a 48-ounce personal pitcher of domestic draft beer.
I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All the games of college and the NFL at the place that leads the way with inflation-busting prices, everyday values, and where kids eat free. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. 800-401-6681.
Dell Technologies' semi-annual sale has arrived, and it's time to upgrade to the latest business technology. Save big on laptops and desktops with Windows 11 Pro. Plus, get amazing deals on server, storage, and cloud solutions, as well as top work accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL for special business offers during our semi-annual sale.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
The NFL season is here, and you can get in on all the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. To celebrate the best time of year, DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at a $1 million top prize during Week 1. If you haven't tried DraftKings yet, now is the time. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Nothing adds to the excitement of watching a game quite like having a free shot at a huge cash prize. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code WING1410. For a limited time, new customers get a free shot at a $1 million top prize during Week 1. Enter code WING1410 only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
At McAfee, they're more than just an air temperature company. They're an air quality company. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Coming up immediately following the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash, we'll have the Buckeye Roundtable. Paul Keels, Todd Lachey, Skip Mossick, and the rest of them, of course. They'll have you, of course, for the next 2 hours. They'll talk about these college football, Ohio State, and they'll do a rundown throughout high school football here in the state of Ohio, including right here in the Miami Valley, bringing you the most outstanding player performance of Week 4. So that's going to be right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. I'll be joining the show to share our biggest performer of the week 4 action here in high school football. So that'll be coming up in hour 2. So that'll be coming up, here later on in the evening. Kev, the polls came out. They were updated. The AP top 25. Georgia's now the number 1 team. Alabama wins and they get moved back a spot. So, this is why I say, I don't care about these rankings, but last week Ohio State fans were appalled. They were appalled that Georgia jumped them after beating Notre Dame. And I just said, look, no one should be upset about the rankings other than Georgia, because every justification that they used to justify moving Georgia past Ohio State, they totally ignored every one of those reasons when they didn't surpass Alabama at number 1. Well, it doesn't matter. Alabama wins, on the road at Texas, by the way. On the road at Texas. Texas, in my opinion, I'm shocked with as friendly as they are with these top 25s. How Texas wasn't ranked is beyond me, not just because they hung in there with Alabama, but they were doing that in the pregame. They were highlighting. There's about 10 NFL guys on this roster for the Texas Longhorns right now. How they weren't in the top 25 is mind-boggling. It shouldn't surprise people that they had enough to neutralize Alabama a bit. But they're now in the top 25. So Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3. How about Michigan moving into the top 5 at 4? And Clemson coming in at number 5, Oklahoma 6, and then the team I've been circling all offseason, USC, they've jumped up 3 spots. They're at number 7.
Yeah, that team up north, they got exactly what they wanted. They got J.J. McCarthy at quarterback and put up, 42 points in the first half against Hawaii. He's going to be the starter the rest of the season. Exactly what Harbaugh wanted from the start, and they're going to roll. Michigan's going to roll all the way until they play Ohio State.
And the schedule is set up for them to do so. Clemson 2-0 at number 5. They didn't do much. Yesterday on the show, we were talking about our surprise team. Florida losing to Kentucky. Kentucky gets a huge win. They're in the top 10.
2-0.
Not only are they 2-0 and in the top 10, which doesn't matter so much in September, but it does for a program like Kentucky. Kev, they move up 11 spots with the win over Florida. They're now number 9. They are, of course, just in front of them, Oklahoma State and USC at 8 and 7. Arkansas coming in at number 10, just behind them. So there you go. Michigan State, number 11, 2-0. So there you go. Utah, they're at 14. They put up 70. They've been reminding people that, hey, we're sorry for losing that that week 1. They put 70 up this past week. So nonetheless, polls don't mean a whole heck of a lot, but they're great talking points as far as kind of where teams are trending. And right now, I don't have a problem with these. Michigan's benefiting more so from beating up on a couple of nobodies. That's why it's so hard to dictate. Alabama, they lose a spot for playing somebody, while Michigan moves up, the last couple of weeks for playing nobody. But it is what it is. They mean nothing. But, Michigan, Ohio State, that's setting up to be a big one. Like it always is. But when you have a playoff on the line, a Big Ten title on the line, it just means more at that point. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Texas, they get some love, as we talked about earlier. They move up. They're at number 21 now. So there's that.
Moving up for losing.
But Ohio State, they gave up 9 touchdowns in weeks 1 and 2 of last year, Kev. They've given up 1 touchdown the first 2 weeks against, of course, Arkansas State and Notre Dame. We only have about 60 seconds, but your thoughts on the Buckeye defense? Tough to tell because they haven't gone up against anyone who really challenged them. Notre Dame, good defensively, not a very good offensive team as we saw against Marshall. They just, from an eye test standpoint, they're flying to the ball. Arkansas State moved the ball a little at times more comfortably than I would have liked. They have a Florida State quarterback transfer. The guy could play against heavy pressure. He showed that. They won. They did what they were supposed to on both sides of the ball, but I think, it's no question this team is night and day differently defensively.
Offensively, Arkansas State has better talent than Notre Dame. The quarterback, the wide receiver, the transfer, they played at the Power 5 level and were playmakers at the Power 5 level before transferring to Arkansas State. So I'd say that, especially pass defense-wise, they got a bigger challenge out of that game versus the one they had against Notre Dame. And I say they get better overall work in practice playing up against their own offense. So Ohio State defense, if it would have looked the same, that would be a red flag. The fact that they're playing better and tackling and swarming to the ball and the defense actually is moving around instead of just staying static is a positive thing. They're going to continue to get better and better as the season goes on.
They got Toledo this Saturday night under the lights, 7 o'clock the kickoff, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. That wraps it up for us here today. More Buckeye coverage coming up next. 6:02. We'll hand it over to Paul Keels in the Buckeye Roundtable show. You'll hear from Ryan Day as well as a couple of Buckeye players. And, they'll get you set for Ohio State and Notre Dame coming up later on in the week. We're done until Thursday. Reds baseball tomorrow and Wednesday. So, and I'll have a couple days to stew up some good little, haterade stuff for the Bengals fans, of course. But no, thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your evening. Until later in the week, this has been the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. Buckeye Roundtable next.
The Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Guys, are you getting up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? As we get older, so do our prostates, and that can mean urinary problems that affect our sleep and